What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Welcome to episode 25 of Movie Swap. Hard to believe that this thing is a quarter of I would say a quarter of a century, but a quarter of 100 episodes already, and it's flew by. So tonight I'm really excited because my guest is somebody who I've known, I say known forever and ever and ever, and we're finally getting to actually speak and have a real conversation for the first time. And a lot of you have seen his channel or have seen his collection. And a lot of people talk about Tony from Basement Blues. I love Tony. Tony's my guy, and I'm jealous of Tony's collection too. But this guy's collection was the first one that I was really jealous of. And I'm talking about Dave from the 4K Lowdown. What's going on, Dave?
What's up, Dell? Thank you so much for having me, man. It has been a long time coming.
Long time. I'm gonna let you tell the story of our relationship since you tell it so well. I've heard you tell it several times.
So we have been I call us social media brothers. We've been social media brothers for over 10 years, having met on Twitter, and basically, all of a sudden, Dell on Movies is following me on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, Dell on Movies, who's this guy? So I go and look at his stuff and I'm like, oh, hey, he does reviews and talks about movies too. Great. I follow him back. And then we start chatting back and forth. And Dell and I have been friends for so long. All of a sudden, I do my channel on YouTube and I realize, wait a minute, Dell's got a channel on. Is that Dell? Is that the Dell? And sure enough, I was like, Dell, it's me. And there's like, oh, Lowdown. And then, yeah, it just hit it off. So it's really awesome to actually get to speak to you face to face and get to do this movie swap. And then of course I get you on my channel on Thursday. So I'm just jazzed. I'm really happy about this. And like I said, it's been a long time coming. We've known each other. And I like how you said known. We've known each other online for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is an amazing point. I'm calling this an Oprah moment because I didn't meet my brother until I was 40. I thought I was an only child and found out my older brother was adopted. And he's 13 months older than I am, and I met him when I was 40.
Oh wow! Okay,
that was one Oprah moment. This is my second.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. The feeling is definitely mutual, and we were scheduled on at least one and maybe several streams together, and one or the other of us had to cancel for whatever reason. So this has definitely been a long time coming. Yeah. And I meant what I said. Your collection was really the first one that kind of made my jaw drop. For anybody out there, if you've not, go check his movie room tour out. Years ago on Twitter, this is how I started following you, Dave. So I have my collection. I start posting a few things about my collection, and when that happens in your timeline, you start following other movie people, and of course your page starts popping up, or things that you were posting starts popping up, and you posted a big picture. You can just see the whole room in one shot. And I mean, there were just movies all over the place. And I tweeted this back to you. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I immediately showed my wife. I was like, look, see, I'm not out of control. This is out of control.
Nope, I totally. And you're not the only one that did that to me. It's like whenever my wife says that I've got an obsession, I just show them your movie.
Yes, exactly.
And, no, you were the first one to do that, but yeah, you were definitely not the last.
Yeah.
And my wife, she feels the same way, but I don't have any pictures to show her except for Tony from Basement Blues. I'm like, see,
Tony's there.
I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm close to as bad as Tony, but I'm not as bad as Tony.
Yeah, Tony is another level too. And I was just kind of bumping around YouTube a couple weeks ago, like you do sometimes, and just movie channels getting recommended to me, because of the algorithm. And there was a guy who he called it a video store in his basement, And I don't know if you saw this video, or at least there's a few of them, but this guy, you go down the steps and he opens up one room and he's got it set up like a real video store. He's got movies all over the place. And then you go through the double doors and he's got another room where he's got kiddie flicks, and another section he's got horror. And then he even had a back section like the old mom and pop stores with adult movies back there. So it was crazy. So
was it Red Door? Was it a Red Door?
It should have been.
Oh man. No, yeah, there's a lot of people out there, and it's interesting, and something that my kids had to get used to, because they would go to people's houses and stay at friends' houses overnight and things like that. And they go, oh, and my kids would go, "Where's your movie collection?" And they would go, "Oh, here it is." And it's just like one shelf of 20 or 30 movies. And they go, that's not right. And then they realized that I was the outlier. I was the different one. And I was like, oh no, this is a different level. So it's really funny. And I really love the community of collectors, and getting to see everyone's collections and rooms, and how they sort things, how they stack, how they decide what to buy and where to get it from.
Right.
It's really interesting. And I've actually learned a lot. I didn't even know what boutique labels were until I started on YouTube.
Oh, I'm the same. I'm with you. I think a little before that, I knew about Criterion because I would just go into Barnes and Noble sometime, but that was about it. I really didn't know much. And then you start watching these videos and it's like, oh, there's an Arrow sale, or there's a Vinegar Syndrome sale, and a Screen Factory, so on and so forth. And there's all these boutique labels out there. So, it's, I look at guys who have, 300 from this label, and it's like, wow, no way I have that many, because I just learned about this label and you have 300 of them. What's going on? So yeah,
I know. There's actually 300 from that label. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it was 4K D-Ray. That got me onto that, because I started watching his movie collection battle.
Same.
And I really dug that show. I'm anxious to have that come back. And D-Ray, if you watch this, please get us on there. Del and I as the tag team. We'll take anybody on.
Oh, we'll do it.
So I'm on 4K D-Ray channel and I'm watching a battle, and he said, pick a 4K Blu-ray title, your favorite 4K Blu-ray title. That's a boutique label. And I went, I don't know if I have one. I don't boutique label. What's that? So I'm doing research and I'm looking up stuff, and I'll go, okay, I'm kind of understanding. Right. And then I realized I don't have any.
Right. Yeah.
But what I did have was Scream Factory, because I'm a huge horror movie fan. And so I had a lot of Scream Factory movies and didn't realize it.
Yeah, you just kind of bump into Scream Factory by accident doing that sometimes. Yeah. And even individual movies, to be honest, and speaking of Scream Factory, they were good for this too. But before I got into social media, like a lot of collectors, I was the movie guy, and as far as my family was concerned and my circle of friends and all that, I was the movie guy. And you get into this space where you get these movies and you think nobody else has heard of this movie, or nobody else has this movie. I'd find something that I might have watched back when I was a kid on USA Up All Night or something. I'd find some movie and it's like, oh my God, and because I talked to people in my family and they were like, I never heard of that movie, or I never saw that movie. So you think, you have this unique item that you just found out in a while, and then you get into social media and it's like, oh yeah, it's on sale over here and over here, and I've got 4 copies of it. I've got 4K, the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the steel book, so.
Cover and
exactly. So I've given up that idea that I've found some unique movies.
I know, because I'm just like, oh, I found some unique movies, and then I see some of the stuff that Tony has, and Movie Hunter 2020. He's got more steel books than I ever knew existed.
No kidding.
And all US too. He doesn't even deal with a lot of the foreign steel books.
Right.
But then, I go to other people's channels and they've got the Italian Captain America and the Winter Soldier that was
Right.
it,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I didn't even know that was a thing. So
yeah. When I was
um,
on Bob's channel doing the steelbook battle, the steelbook
a
tournament.
tournament, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just almost everything I had, I'm buying from just regular stores, and other guys are pulling. I was in Indonesia one night, and the guy called me out the back alley, and he had a steelbook for me. And I was like, "How? Where do you get these steelbooks from?" So it was
right.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
We have got a lot of people talking to us in the chat. Well, and talking to each other though. So I think they've given up trying to reach us.
That's all right, but I'm gonna go into it right now. It was perfect timing because I was reaching for my mouse, and of course, that's you in the chat. You beat Mr. Holland, so consider it a feat for you. And
What's
Holland
up,
says
man?
he says happy birthday, everyone.
Okay.
Did
And yeah,
you?
happy birthday, man. I mean, I hope to stay for your birthday bash later.
Yeah, and
Uh,
my official birthday is actually tomorrow,
right.
but I'm not gonna be streaming tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to stay offline all day. So we'll see how that
Okay.
goes.
So is this and I don't want to date you because you look like you're maybe 30, but I know that you're close to my age. So this 53 or is this 52?
52.
This is 52. Okay.
Yes, sir. Birthday 52 for me.
All right.
And
I just turned 53 in May. So
right. So we're right there together.
we're right there.
Yep. Dimensions is what's up. Happy birthday.
What's
Thank
up,
you, Dimension.
Dimension?
Corey is here. He says, hey
Corey.
all. Caveman says, hey everyone, Will
Caveman.
Smith that like button for both of these cool, crazy cats. Absolutely. And with Caveman, one of the coolest things is that Miss Caveman also comes in the chat on a lot of
Miss
streams.
Caveman.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is what is up, media peeps. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm doing well. Dave says he's doing well.
Well,
Holland, wow, 10 plus years. That's amazing. Yeah. It's funny how years go by, because I get this idea that sometimes I like just got on Twitter a couple of years ago, and then you go look at when you started it, and it's like, whoa, that was forever ago.
hmm.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And Ryan, I'm not crying, you're crying. So I guess you're listening to us and getting a little misty out there. That's
What's going
cool.
on, right? Yeah. No, February 28th of last year was when I started my YouTube channel.
I started mine in May of last year. I don't know the exact
Yeah.
date, but I think it was May last
I
year.
think it was it was a couple months after me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I started seeing, again, you start seeing feeds from other collectors and things like that. Saw you and I'm like, I've got to subscribe. I've got to do it. I'm already following you on Twitter.
Yep. Might as well keep the train rolling, right?
And that was the thing about Twitter. I mean, a lot of times connections come and go on social media to where all of a sudden you just don't hear from a guy anymore.
Right.
But that really never happened with us.
No, it didn't.
There'd be, a couple months here and there to where, we've got other stuff going on. But then all of a sudden, Dell's back.
Yep.
Commenting on my pictures, or I'm back commenting on, but yeah, it's been the whole time. So
absolutely. And Holland tells Ryan stop crying. KB is here. This is Brother Dell's second cousin Dave. Birthday blessings.
KB.
So KB, I question for you. Just let us know in the chat, because I was when I got on YouTube a little earlier, it looked like you had a stream scheduled for tonight, but then it went away. I'm just let me, if you want to, just let me know what was going on with that. So I was at least gonna pop in before I came in here. And now we got people saying hello to each other. And here is Master of All Movies Press with DV Collector, aka Sarah. She's saying happy birthday to me. Thank you very much, Sarah. And
Sarah's awesome.
Sarah is awesome. So yeah, go check out Sarah's channel, and that is the name of her channel, the Master of All Movies Press with DVD Collector. Yep. She has an impressive collection, and she's just nicest person in the world.
Yeah,
and
she's been jumping on the lowdown for the last few episodes.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's awesome. She comes on. She goes, "You remember me?" And I said, "Of course I remember you, Sarah. You just go ahead and do your thing." And so we talk all through the episode. She's been great with her comments and likes and posts and everything. So yeah, it's awesome. She's got a great channel.
She does, and I think she's really recently just started kind of branching out to other channels and seeing what's going on. So definitely support her and show her some love because she deserves it. And here's my guys here also. Culture Trini. What's up, good
Some
people? He
culture.
said. Another one, Spicy 4K Action says up and happy
Spicy's
birthday.
another regular. Yeah.
Yeah,
Spice is cool.
he absolutely is. And Caveman says, hey, Holland, Ryan, Corey, KB Dimension. He's just giving a rundown, roll call up there. And Cayenne Pepper Dude. Okay.
Cayenne pepper, dude.
I guess that's spicy.
I'm thinking that's spicy.
So we got some more back and forths going on here. And I'm just gonna kind of scroll down really quickly, see if anybody is had anything else to say. There's Smirk
KB
88
does
says,
answer
hey,
your
what's up?
question, but I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit. But KB does answer your question. So,
Okay, I'll get there. Adrian is also here.
what's up, Adrian?
Hello there, everyone. Adam the Movie Hunter is here. What's going on, Adam? And Adam has another comment. So true. Love finding other like-minded peeps here and on other social media platforms. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Caveman kind of echoing my point is funny friends consider me the movie guy. Yeah. It's that way for just about all of us that come
Yeah.
on.
And his real name is Guy. So
Yes, exactly.
totally,
I
it
know.
totally
I
works
do
for
know
him.
because he's DM me. So, and that's why his next post is get it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Smirk says, happy early birthday, Dell. Hope you have a great day. Thank you. I will. And I'm, like I said, I'm going to try to live offline for at least 24 hours. So fingers crossed that actually happens. All right. The monkey is here. What's going on, monkey? He says, for 53, you're looking like Smee from Hook. I hate Hook. I'm
I don't know
sorry.
if is that good or is that bad?
I guess it's good. I'm not a fan of Hook.
I'm
Do
not
you
really
like
good.
Hook?
I liked Hook. I
I'm
mean,
not a fan.
me was Bob Hoskins, and I don't know if he looked young. But
Yeah. He's one of those guys that I don't know if he's ever looked young. I don't.
no, I don't think in Roger Rabbit he didn't look young.
Yeah, and that was 40 years ago.
And that was 80s. I was young.
That's crazy. Caveman. He says 54 and turn double nickel in September. Uh-oh, we gotta have a big bash for that.
Exactly. Right after his nap. Because
Right after his nap. Yeah, exactly. After his
that's
nap.
the turning point. After that, it's nap time. Actually, I'm doing that now. Nap time in the middle of the day, and then celebrate.
All right. So I guess 55 might be a little too early though to be, having the early bird special at dinner and then turning in at
You
about 8.
definitely get the 55 and over menu at Denny's because that was a ceremony for my wife, and the servers at Denny's had no idea why we were doing that.
All right, KB Mark couldn't make it in time, rescheduling. Okay, cool. Looking forward to it. Got a couple more people who have popped in here. My man Vinicio, the Horror Cholos. What's going on, Vinicio?
I don't think I've ever met Vinicio. It's good to meet you, man.
He says, what up, my peoples? And I need to get you on here, Vin. And if anybody out there is not checking out Vin versus Vin, go ahead and check that out. Great stream where him and Vin from Hard Copy Blues get together and have a little bit of friendly competition. So I really, really enjoy that show. Much respect, Del Monte. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. And we're going to put a pin in it for a moment. And let's go ahead and actually get to the movies that we come to talk about, at least the first one anyway. I'm going to turn it all over to you and let the people know what movie you recommended for me to watch.
Okay. So for Del, I recommended The 13th Warrior. 1999 film starring Antonio Banderas, where he plays an Arab ambassador that kind of he gets in trouble, and they send him up to the north to be the ambassador to the Vikings, and ends up getting sucked into a nasty situation where he has to fight with 12 warriors to defeat this evil horde of nasty dudes, and also learn to, I guess, coexist or to befriend these these warriors that normally don't like outsiders. So that's one of my favorite fantasy movies of all time. And, I really wanted Dell to check it out to kind of get an idea of some of my style as far as watching movies.
All right. So one thing that it wasn't not it wasn't so much that they didn't well, it wasn't just that they didn't really like outsiders because they didn't, it's true. But it was
Yeah.
also going back the other way because he was quote unquote civilized compared to them.
Yeah, he was stuck up. He was he didn't he
Definitely
didn't
so.
want to he didn't want to share the wash bowl.
No. And look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably with him because some of the things they were doing was
He could
heinous.
do it.
I mean,
I'm good. I've got Purell. I'm fine.
yeah, exactly. It was pretty rough that what some of the things they were doing. So he was pretty stuck up, and they were completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. They were just kind of poking at him and making fun of him at every turn.
Yeah.
Um, now one thing you didn't quite mention was that he's really kind of drafted into this war pretty
Oh yeah.
much, and only because he's an outsider, though.
Yeah. And only because a fortune teller said
Yes,
that, only 13 warriors could go and that the 13th warrior could not be a Northman. And so everybody's staring at him because he's the only one really besides his servant
and,
that's not a Northman. So
and his servant was pretty old.
oh yeah, played by Omar Sharif, who did a great job.
Yes, yes. So he was the only young, able-bodied guy that that was not a Norseman there. Now, you mentioned it's a fantasy. So my experience, let me tell you what I knew about this movie. I knew Antonio Banderas was in it, and I knew it was set way back in the day, and that was pretty much it. So I really didn't know it was a fantasy, and I didn't do any reading about it or anything like that. So I went in kind of cold. So
Okay.
it took me quite a while to figure out that this actually was going to be a fantasy, where something like The Northman that came out either last year or the year before, The Northman,
Right.
it's kind of upfront. It's
Yes.
kind of in your face. Hey, this is a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Just so you know, going in, they kind of put it up there up front, and of course, Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely up front. So it took me a while, and it was like, okay, is this? Are we at war with somebody? Like really, or is it? Because I mean, I heard them was ancient, spirits or whatever she said, ancient entities or something like that,
Yeah.
and I couldn't quite make heads or tails of that for a little bit. So going into your first watch, did you know going in that that's what that was, or did you have to kind of discover it like I did?
Well, no, I actually knew coming into it that it was based on the Michael Crichton book called The Eaters of the Dead, which is a book that I had read. And
Okay.
when I knew the movie was coming out based on that book, I was hooked from the get-go. But yeah, I knew coming in that it was a fantasy and that it was about Vikings, and I like Viking movies. So, and I like Antonio Banderas. I think he's a solid actor. He does the job well. And yeah, I was really looking forward to this movie, and it didn't disappoint me. So I'm really anxious to hear your thoughts on it once you got into it.
So yeah, once I got into it,
I've got the poster behind me. I'll take it down if you didn't like it. I'll get up right now and I'll take my poster down. I'm going to put it back up after the show, but I will take my poster down right now.
Now leave it, and we'll go through it. Now, when I get to my final thoughts, then you can make that call.
Okay.
All right. So, you said he's a decent actor, and he is a decent actor. And what do you think of just his performance in this movie?
I thought it was okay. It was I would have liked it to have actually been an Arab in that role. I do understand that it had to be Antonio Banderas because of his notoriety. Because really, aside from him, and if you know Omar Sharif, maybe, but otherwise, there's hardly anybody that you recognize in this movie.
Right, right. And that was one of the things that kind of stuck out to me, that they're clearly calling him an Arab and he's clearly
He's
not.
clearly not.
So, but I was like, okay, 1999.
But, Lou
We'll
Diamond
roll with him.
Phillips can
Yeah,
play a Native American or a
yeah,
Mexican or whatever, and
or
he's
whatever.
half Filipino. He's half Filipino, half white. So okay, four color universe, I'll allow it.
Right, right,
Let's
right.
let's
Uh,
continue.
yeah, that's kind of where I was with that.
Yeah,
And yeah, he was. I don't think this is one of his best performances.
no, I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, he did the job. He was
Yeah,
Antonio Banderas. He's handsome. He looks good on the camera, and
he has the voice.
huh?
He has the voice.
He
Like
has the voice. He has the
he has the
voice
voice.
and the accent,
Yeah, yeah.
that he still can't get rid of. So
Yeah. Girl
also,
offers him water, and he's like, "You may believe me."
right, right. And sadly, I keep hearing "Puss in Boots" whenever he talks, but
Right? Yeah,
that which I think really are his best performances. But
I really liked Puss in Boots, and the second one was pretty good.
the second one was fantastic. I actually
Yeah,
like the second one better than the first one.
yeah,
It was that good, at least to me. At least to me.
yeah,
And now you did mention that there's hardly anybody else you mentioned, like I said, that to
yeah,
in the movie. There's him
yeah,
and there's Omar Sharif,
yeah,
but the rest of the cast was pretty good.
yeah,
I thought they did a good job with it, with what they were given.
yeah,
Um, did a lot of I call it 300 style dialogue, where they kind of half scream the dialogue all the time, which is
yeah.
which was
You know,
cool.
they're like, "Oh, you're Vikings. You're just gonna yell everything."
Right, exactly, exactly. So when that's going on early on in the movie, so you're at an advantage because you read the book first.
Mhm.
I'm watching it kind of unfold, and one of the most intriguing scenes to me, was when they decided, I guess, to teach somebody a lesson, or not teach, set an example, and they had the really
Oh,
short guy fight the
right.
really tall
The
guy.
really big redhead. Yeah, the actual Viking looking guy.
Yes, the
Yeah,
actual Viking. Well, except for the red hair.
yeah.
Vikings, I don't know that any Vikings have red hair, but if you would kind of get into that scene for me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call him the small Viking.
Yes.
He was the one that really was the go between Antonio Banderas and the rest of the Vikings. He was the one that could roughly translate and help him out, and kind of liked him, kind of took him in under his wing and did stuff. But they they had to prove a point because the son of King Hrothgar was had the king's ear and was trying to stab these guys in the back.
Hmm.
And so they had to set an example, and their example was Angus, who was the tall redhead guy, and basically challenge him to a duel, get into an argument. They settle it by fighting, and it's a 3 shield combat, which is basically you fight with shields, and then once the 3 shields are broken on one side, you technically lose, but they can go further and play to the death if they want. So the whole thing was a deception, because the little guy could have easily beat him, and Antonio Banderas had to understand that, which was a really good scene,
Yes.
because at first he's like, "Why are you doing this? This is a stupid idea. We need to focus on this." And then once he realized what happened, because he was afraid his friend was going to die,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
his friend was losing, it was looking like he was ragged, like he
Oh,
was
they
done.
sold it. Yeah, they sold it.
They sold it, and he just went foop, and it was over. And he was like, "Here, see to your friend."
Yep. Yep. See to your
He
friend.
was a
That
brave
was that
man.
was pretty cold
Um,
line. Also.
yeah, that's a really, and it's basically, and there was a quote. He goes, "Now he must fight what he can't see, or now he must understand what he can't see,
Right. Right.
and fear what he does not know."
Yes. And
Um,
now you brought up the king. I forgot about this part. The way they're now clear. Help me out if I'm wrong. Again, I only watched it once, so help me out if I'm wrong. but it was like when Antonio Banderas arrives early on in the movie at this Viking bar, pretty much, and he finds out it's the king's funeral.
Hmm.
From my vantage point, to my eyes, it was like, okay, he finds out it's the king's funeral and bar fight, and the winner of the bar fight is the new king. Am I wrong there? Did I miss something?
Well, not exactly. So there wasn't a king at that point. So the king had died,
Right.
and they were getting ready to bury him. They were having his funeral, and the heir apparent, which is Bolvi, that's the big bad Viking that was like the leader of everybody,
Right.
and the first guy to volunteer as one of the 13 warriors. He was the heir apparent. He was supposed to become king. So the bar fight that broke out, or the fight that broke out, was somebody was challenging him and
Okay.
tried to attack him. And
Okay.
then that guy just basically sliced his chest open, and and that was it. So nobody challenged him after that.
Got it. Okay. So I knew
So
I was missing something from that little section
but
of
yeah,
movie.
without the book to kind of back you up a little bit, or after watching it a few times, because I've probably seen it over 100 times, um, that I could see how that's confusing, because it's like he's like, okay, I want someone to tell me a story, and then Antonio Barris then is talking about, in the beginning the earth was void, and he starts telling this
Right.
story, and then dude just turns around and slices his chest open,
Right.
and what the heck just happened?
Yeah,
um,
pretty
so,
much.
so
Pretty
yeah,
much.
first time you watch it, yeah, that would be kind of like, okay, what did I miss?
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think I
That's where I
did that
was.
when I first watched it. I was like, wait, okay, no. But when in the beginning of that, when they first when the old guy, when Omar Sharif's character starts speaking Greek to the
Mhm.
smaller Viking, and he's telling him about the funeral and what's going on, and Omar Sharif turns and said, "This is the heir apparent called Bolvi." And then that's where you're like, oh, okay, he's set to become the king.
Got it.
So then, in true Klingon fashion, this other guy's like, no, I want to be the king, so I need to kill him if I'm going to get there. And that's where
Okay.
that whole challenge came in.
Got it. Got it. And I'm gonna tell you what, you talking about speaking Greek. They shorthanded the hell out of language in this movie. I will say that. They
Yeah. Oh yeah.
if for anybody who's not seen this movie, so of course he's our main character is supposed to be Arab, and I don't think he ever actually speaks any Arabic. He speaks
No,
English.
it's the English is the Arabic
Is supposed to
until
be Arabic,
yeah,
and the Vikings are actually speaking Nordic, whatever Nordic language they have,
yeah,
and
Finnish or whatever that
yeah,
is.
and so much so that Banderas's character actually has a translator, or his servant is helping him translate because he speaks language.
Right.
And after I guess a couple of days have gone by, all of a sudden Banderas can speak their language. And the guy's like, "Well, how did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, I listened." And that
Yeah.
was the end of it. Everybody spoke English after that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. See
I
that
guess that'll work.
that's one of my favorite parts. Um, because he's spending this time, and yeah, it seemed like 2.5 days or whatever. In the book, it's longer because he's
Okay.
traveling with them for months on this boat,
Okay.
going from this place to this place to help that king with the dragon, or the eaters of the dead, with bad guys.
Okay.
And so they're like 3 months on this boat, and then going to land and camping, and then getting back on the boat and going along. But they only show it like it's 3 days of work. And
Yeah,
it
that's
and it
why. Yeah, that's
and
not
it
clear
wasn't
to me
like
in the
that.
in the
That
movie.
that's kind of a miss as far as the movie goes. But as a lover of the book, I was able to fill the blanks in there. But I
Okay.
really like that, because he basically just listened to them talk and pieced together their words and their language so that he could speak to them. And then at that point, everybody was speaking English, because okay, now that Antonio Banderas understands them and he's the main character,
Everybody's
now you can understand how that they talk as the
right.
viewer. So I,
And
I
I
actually
think,
like that, but they
yeah,
didn't
I
they
think it would
didn't
have worked better
spend
for
enough
me if
time
it
on it.
were clearer. Yeah, if
Yeah.
it were clearer how long a time they spent together. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it just
Even
seems
if
like
they
a
just
couple
said three
days go
months
by
later or something,
and
give me
something, right?
give me something. But yeah, it's just, but yeah, they spent like 3 months on this boat, going from going from the Netherlands or wherever they were up to northern Scandinavia, because they're basically on paddling on this boat going up the ocean. So yeah, it was actually like a 3-month journey, if I remember
Okay.
correctly from the book.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna jump back into the chat here and see if anybody's talking about the movies or if anybody else has popped in. I think I saw at least one name just come in, and that was this one right here, 4K D Ray, who we were just talking about a little earlier.
Yeah,
He's saying hello to a
one of
couple
the
of other folks out that are
yeah
here,
one of the first people I
and we
got
got
to know on YouTube, and
yep.
great guy, great guy. I like D-Ray a
Oh yeah,
lot.
absolutely.
And I think
And
Caveman
everybody's
said
kind of saying
something
hi to him.
in the text about telling my story about 4K D-Ray again now that he's on there. But I think it's in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Here it is, right here. It's Caveman saying, yeah, repeat what you said about 4K D-Ray." And if you want to shorthand it, that's fine.
Okay.
Or I can shorthand it. Really, really for both of us. And I've told you this before. You were like our into the community through the movie battles. Really helped inspire both of us to get into YouTube. And yes, what we said is, or what Dave said, him and I in a tag team will take on anybody if you do bring the battles back. See, I listen.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, everybody's saying hey back and forth, and here the monkey is expanding on his comment. But Smee was the only one from Neverland to have a happy ending. Okay,
Okay.
I don't remember it well enough to know if that's even true. To be honest.
Yeah. I remember that he no longer was under Hook's cook, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
okay, got you.
he kind of got the ship to himself. And yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, he was the only one that was truly happy and still in Neverland.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I can
Believe
see
it or
that.
not, I
And
only saw that movie. I saw that movie only the first time a couple years ago, so I'm probably the wrong age to have seen it. Is what it boils down to be honest with you.
yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
James
yeah,
is
I'll
here.
buy
Says
that.
hello, Dell and 4K Lowdown. Happy
Hi,
birthday!
James.
Thank you, James. James
I've been
earlier
on.
did a great stream. On the October releases for Criterion were announced, so James was on live talking
Right.
about that a little earlier. So go check that out. Catch the replay if you want to hear his thoughts on those. And I'm looking to see if anybody is talking about the movies. Here's Adam. He says, I enjoyed 13th Warrior.
Good. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Patrick is here. Have Cheetah Will View. He says, hey. If you're not familiar with Patrick, Patrick goes live several times a week also, and he interviews a lot of industry people, or not necessarily industry people, but people who are, when I say industry people, I don't mean like they're working with the big studios and not Warner Brothers and Universal mostly, but a lot of independent filmmakers and actors, and just people who are trying to make their way in the film industry. And he's got some really fun streams with those people. And he says the 13th Warrior is epic. Cool. Tiana is also here. Hey, Tiana.
Thanks, Yana.
He says, hey, just got home from work. Tiana's fantastic. We're talking about Antonio Banderas. He was a
That's
fancy
right.
pants.
He was a
That is
fancy
a good
pants.
way to put it. A fancy pants. I like that one. I haven't heard that one in a while. KB says, James, I got to check out your wrap up for the October Criterion announcements. Hey, that's what I was just talking about. All right. And Patrick says hello to you, Dave. And James, I need to check out 13th Warrior.
I
All
hope you
right.
do.
So, and we got a lot of haze back and
I don't see a
forth.
Criterion release for it, but I hope you get a chance to watch it.
Another new person, new name here tonight. Gungshi is here.
Don't
Hi,
you?
everyone. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello. And some hellos back and forth. And we do have a comment about the movie before we get back to it. Michael Crichton wrote this as Eaters of the Dead, as you said.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually
Officially.
found that out after the fact because there was a couple of things I was still not clear on. So I went to Wikipedia and found out this bit of information.
Mm-hmm. If you get a chance to
Wikipedia's
read the book, Dell, it's definitely worth reading, and it'll give you a lot
okay.
of insight as to the movie.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Caveman, love 13th Warrior, one of my favorite movies. Glad I didn't know the horror part of it, because I may have never seen it. Early DVD days, lack of blockbuster content made me discover it, and Sliding Doors.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about Sliding Doors in a couple weeks. I'm letting the cat out the bag, so
Uh-oh.
so I'm looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that. All right, so let's pause right there for a couple of minutes. And Tiana saying how the caveman. All right. So one thing that happens from time to time, and now realizing what they're going for, I know why it was done this way, and I'm talking about the battle scenes.
Hmm.
They're kind of shrouded, and I talked about this a few weeks back when I had on AJ of AJ Reacts, and for me, when I watch a battle, I kind of want to see the battle. I want to know what's going on, unless there's a express purpose for it. So
Hmm.
not knowing that going in, I was a little disappointed with the battle scenes because it was just, a lot of shadows kind of swinging at each other, and then every now and again a head would lop off or something like that. Now, knowing what you know, though, how do you think the battle scenes played out?
I think the battle scenes were good. I also like that. And being a martial arts movie fan, I want to see the whole picture. Um,
Hmm.
and there were a couple of really good battle scenes that do that. But I like that because of my knowledge of the book, I like how in the beginning part you don't really see the Eaters of the Dead. You don't see the Vendu is what they were called. Um,
Right.
you don't see them. They're like ghosts or animals, or just the mystery and the terror behind it, because they're just afraid of these creatures. They won't even say their name. um so the bodies are taken away, heads are missing from the good guys, but they take the head with them, things like that. So I really dug that. And then once it got to, Antonio Banderas realizes that they're just men. So now
Yeah.
you start to see them for what they are.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
that's a really interesting point. A dynamic that happens with the action scenes is, once again, like the language, once Antonio Banderas realizes who they are, then you see them as their real element, not as their fantasy animal, or this ghost or dragon or whatever. As the superstition that the Vikings have was solved, I guess, or figured out
Hmm.
by Antonio
Hmm.
Banderas, making it the whole reason why he was supposed to go there with them. How the
Yeah.
Oracle
He
decided.
was Yeah, he was definitely the skeptic of the bunch.
Yeah,
Um, and I guess we're supposed to be kind of looking through his eyes. We're definitely supposed, well, he's the main character. So
yeah,
we're looking through his eyes, and he was definitely skeptical of the whole thing. So that brought me to another one of my favorite scenes was when he sees, they think they're, like you said, they're ghosts. Then they think that they're
bears.
bears or bear
Yeah,
men or something like that. And
yeah,
then he's kind of, somebody, well, how do you hunt a bear? Well, he says that. He says, how do you hunt a bear? You find a cave,
yeah.
and
Take
they
it down with dogs.
find the cave. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so that was one of my favorite moments. Another one of my favorite moments was, them in the whole getting
yeah.
into the cave and all that
Sure.
deal.
Yeah. Where how do you hunt a bear in winter or something like that? Oh, you find its cave.
Right,
And there's a
right,
cave.
right.
It's in the ground, and it's all of it makes sense. And the Vikings all went, man, I want to be like Mike. You get that look because where they're all like, he's brilliant.
What? Yeah, why didn't we figure this out? Why didn't we figure this
Why
out?
didn't we know
Come
that?
on.
But so yeah, it's kind of those epiphany moments, and there's a couple of them in the movie where at first they make fun of him, they make fun of his horse, they make fun of his sword, they make fun of his the way
Yes.
he dresses, they make fun of all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, now I'm seeing his value.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
um
it even during the movie, though, at every turn, they would question something, and he would immediately kinda turn it on his head and be like, "Hey, well, look." this
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah.
So with the horse, with the sword especially, though,
Yeah.
he brings this out, and the guy's like, hey, when you die, I'll give that to my daughter. And
Yeah.
he
Give an Arab
meanwhile,
a
he
sword, he
takes,
makes a knife.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he takes one hack at the tree limb, and just the whole thing disappears.
It was quite a bit smaller
It
than
works.
the rest of them, but that's okay.
Yes, quite a bit
Um,
smaller.
but it's I don't know, it's funny. And then the horse like jumps really high, and they're like, "Oh, the dog can jump."
Yeah, the
Great.
horse. Yeah, and the
So they
dog can jump.
call
They
the
called it
dog.
a dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, it was really funny um how they did that. And then it was just one scene that I really like, and this is just a small thing, was when they first kind of talk about the the bad guys, when they go to that tree house and the whole family slaughtered in the tree house,
Yeah.
and they find the idol, and the Vikings are all spitting on it, and they hit it with the sword and knock it out of the guy's hand. Antonio Barris walks up and grabs it and keeps it.
Hmm.
And that was a turning point when the old witch wanted a trinket, and Antonio Banderas had it. And that's when she had that whole prophecy about seek them in the ground. They think they're bears, blah blah. So that was kind of a neat point in the movie that I liked, that they at least touched on that.
Yeah, yeah, they did. They did. So going with that, are there any deeper themes going on here that you can put your finger on, or is
Um,
it all kind of just surface level?
there's a lot more surface level than I wanted. It's deeper in the book. It goes really deeper in the book. I do like um the whole the whole fight in the cave,
Hmm.
where they kill the queen, and of course the big Viking gets poisoned, but they're all pushing through this cave, running from these guys.
Right,
And this is a point where they reach the end of the cave, and there's nothing but water.
right. That's
and
true.
and this is another epiphany moment from one of the Vikings, because they're like, one of the Vikings goes, "Oh, just our luck, now it's going to rain because it sounds like
Hmm.
thunder."
Hmm. Hmm.
And Antonio Banderas says, "Wait, the waves make thunder." And then the one Viking that told him that was like, "The thunder cliffs." And it was like, dude, brilliant. So then they realized, we can get out.
Yep, we
And
can
that
get
was
out.
that
Yeah.
was kind of a deeper thing. So there's a few points, but it really tried to be as surface as possible to appeal
Hmm.
to the most audience.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, that I think was a shortcoming, and it's a shortcoming not just in this movie. It's a lot of movies when you kind of dumb it down
Yeah.
to reach the masses, you just make it not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of my issues with the movie. Let's go ahead back into the chat real quick and see who else is out there. Like Laren popped in, says happy birthday to me and hey to you.
Hey, Laren.
People saying hey to Laren. And Vinicio tells me I am ready whenever you are, brother. I'm definitely it's coming. The call is coming, or the DM as it so to speak. It is definitely coming. And did I see hey Huck, but I don't did I skip over Huck?
Did we see Huck? Did Huck jump in?
Yes, I did. I skipped all the way past Huck
Oh, there he
somehow.
is.
There's Huck. He
Yeah,
says,
I,
hey,
I,
party
I see him
people.
in there.
Yep. And I also skipped over Emmett. Hey, Emmett, what's
What's up?
going on? He
What's
says
up,
happy
Huckster? Hey,
birthday.
Emmett.
Sorry about that, guys. I got ahead of myself somehow. All right. Patrick says 13th Warrior has become a cult favorite. That is true, because that is
I
not
think
one.
so.
I don't think it has high marks critics wise and IMDb even.
No, I think it's 42% on IMDb
Okay.
for the
Yeah,
critics.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then 66 for the audience score.
Yeah, and that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Trini, I've seen
this is
13th
where I
Warrior
don't
become.
care. This is where
Yeah.
I don't care. I was like, and I enjoy it for what it is. So
Oh, I mean, you have to. You can't live by what they say, right?
no,
No.
That's
Trini,
kind
I've
of
seen
why I
it.
started my own reviews. Is because of that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about those later on when we get past both movies. We'll talk about your
Okay.
reviews. All right. So I've seen 13th Warrior, but don't remember anything about it. Okay.
That's okay. It was 99. That was like what, 24 years ago?
Oh
So
man, yes, 24 years ago. Wow. Okay, man. I love the 13th Warrior, how they transition from their language to English. Pretty clever. I thought, yeah, we had a
yeah,
conversation about that.
it just didn't, you know, it, it didn't, they didn't build it enough. They needed to build it a little bit more to make it look like it was, effort was put up. Not that he learned how to speak Finnish in 3 days, but
Yeah, yeah. All right, and Huck seems to agree with Caveman,
yeah, no, I love
and
that. It's one of my wife's favorite scenes too.
yeah, and no one puts Adrian in a corner. Okay, we missed something here. They're going back and forth about something. Definitely not Caveman. All right, Dave, did they discuss the language transition in the book?
Yeah, and I think he corrects himself. He goes, "Never mind, you answered that." So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, he did. Never mind. You
yes,
answered. John Doe Juggalo. I always got to say that slow because I'm gonna mess it
yeah.
up. But
A
John
lot of
Doe
people, a
Juggalo.
lot of people say gigolo,
Yes.
and
He says, "Good evening. What's going on, John?"
I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but John Doe, I've seen you. I've seen you before on a few streams, so yeah, it's good to see
Yes.
you.
He's been popping up a lot as of late. We've got somebody who I haven't seen in a little bit. They've been here before, but Chubbs loves
I've
movies.
seen
What's up,
Chubbs before,
everybody?
but yeah, it's been a while.
Yep. And I like the 13th Warrior. My favorite part was when he starts understanding language. So
So
it was just me.
it's just you, Dale.
It's just me. It's okay.
Um,
Patrick, they had good battle scenes, so he liked the battle scenes.
I like the battle scenes. I did not like the final battle scene
Okay.
with that was the only one. I get what they were trying to do,
Uh-huh.
but that it was too fast.
Yes,
I think
I'll
that
agree there.
I think that needed to be a bigger battle. And sure,
Yes.
they can finish with that quick battle with the warrior dude, the second in command after they killed the queen, and Bolvi, because he had the poison in him. But I think he should have killed a couple of the Vikings, and there should have been a bigger battle. And it
Um,
is in the book.
budget constraints, maybe?
May $125 million budget. You'd think they would have done it.
Oh, they did have that bigger budget. I didn't
Yeah,
look at that.
bigger
Okay.
than I thought. It only made 61 million, if I remember correctly, in the box office.
Okay.
So it didn't make its money back, and that's 1999 money. It was
Right.
125 million.
That's pretty
I
big.
I thought they could have put a little bit more into it, but there's a lot of good practical effects in there.
Yes, yes.
Um,
I will agree with that.
that's
I
not
didn't
a
realize that budget was that big for this movie.
yeah, me neither, until I did the research on it. I was like, wow, I can't believe that. Um, and I guess considering all the stuff that they did with the fires
Yeah.
and the horses and I guess maybe that was all from the practical effects and production budget, and they didn't do a lot of advertising for it either. It was one that they
No.
were like, oh, I didn't even know about it until it came to DVD.
Same. I didn't. I knew I just kind of knew it existed. I knew Antonio Banderas had a movie coming out like '98, but I didn't
Yeah,
know what it was. And then yeah, DVD. It shows up on DVD one day. I was like, oh, okay. There's a movie with Antonio Banderas.
yeah,
And I'm not one who naturally gravitates towards fantasy, so I just never grabbed onto it.
yeah.
Um. All right,
The running
Patrick.
part.
The running fight in the cave was excellent. Yep, we talked about that.
Yeah,
KB, I'm listening and I just checked my letterbox. I'm sorry, second cousin Dave. I don't think I've ever seen one of your favorite movies.
that is
Ooh.
okay. Second cousin KB, you were still one of my favorite people. So, um, yeah, I
Patrick.
was in the conversation with him in October, and we talked about horror movies. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
And that's
also did
what
October horror movies
Yeah,
that month
that's
with
that's where
him.
the whole second cousin came in too. That
Right.
whole it's our second cousin. So yeah, we've just been second cousins ever since.
Oh yeah. Um Patrick says the cave fight was really good, very intense. Yes.
Yep.
We got a hey, and we got some trivia from Caveman. All right, trivia. The story of this film is basically a retelling of the story of Beowulf
Yes.
and Grendel. Beowulf is Beowulf. The Wendell or Grendel. King
Rothgar.
Rothgar. Okay,
Yeah.
is of
H
course
is silent.
himself.
Yeah.
Ahmed ibn Fahlan was added.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make
Yeah.
sense.
So yeah, Michael Crichton took the story of Beowulf and went,
Pretty much, yeah. That it makes total sense
yeah,
now that he said it.
yeah,
It's one of those things where you see a movie and it's like, oh, they're just doing Romeo and Juliet, or they're just doing Hamlet, and yeah,
exactly.
this it makes sense. All
They
right,
just don't come out and say it.
right, just don't come out and say it. All right, to lend the story historical credence, as Ahmad ibn Fahlan really did travel north from Baghdad and encountered Viking men. Okay,
Yes.
and my parents had a black box with pay-per-view channels in the 90s, so newer films were on repeat all day. I think I had one of those boxes at least for a time.
Yep.
Remember
I did
wow.
too.
Yeah, times have changed. Chubbs and 13th Warrior was one I remember.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into my final thoughts. Oh, before I do that, is there anything about the movie that you feel that we didn't touch on that we should?
No, I don't think. I think we pretty much covered all the bases. I think one thing that I would say, and the reason why I picked this for you, Dell, is this is one of my most rewatchable movies. This is
Okay.
one that I can just throw on and play whenever I'm feeling down. And from beginning to end, there's comedy, there's action, there's a little romance. It covers all the boxes. And this is, like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite movies. It doesn't have to be a great movie. It doesn't have to win Oscars for me to be something that I love. And I'm glad you got a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I'm always glad to watch a new movie. That's why I do this series, because
Mhm.
I want to see movies that I have never seen before. And I mean, if you're like me, or most of us are, at least in the Bluetooth community, you have a watch list that's a mile long, and you just can never decide what to watch. So
Mhm.
this gives me an excuse or a purpose to watch something. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
now I know I'm going to watch 13th Warrior this week. So I really appreciate that. As for the movie itself, so again, I had those moments, or at least half of the movie, where I was kind of in a fog, meaning I just was still trying to feel my way through it and figure it out. And whenever that happens to me, I know that it's likely going to be a better second viewing, because now I have some background with what goes on in the movie. As but the second half of the movie did play a lot better for me than the first half of the movie, because by that point it's like, oh, okay, now I know we're here. This is what we're doing.
Mhm.
So I'm good with that. So the second half again played a lot better than the first half for me. Um, it kind when you say it had $125 million budget, that kind of gives me pause, because yeah, there were a lot of great practical effects, but looking at the movie, it's like, where did they spend 125 million on this
Yeah.
movie? You didn't have a bunch of big names in the movie, and yeah, the practical effects were nice, but they weren't mind blowing, you know, for
Yeah.
that kind of money.
I
And
could see 50, maybe. I could see
yeah,
50 million,
yeah,
and that would have been, but I went 125, really?
yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah,
totally get your point. I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
So no, well, yeah, I was just gonna. It was, for 1999, like you said, $125 million movie. You're basically talking about, a $200 million budget today. So it's three, or not 300, but maybe 180, $200 million budget today. Um, which is basically what they're doing with Marvel movies every few months
Yeah.
now, and those are big budget movies. So this didn't quite look like that. It looked like a smaller movie, but so that gives me a little pause. It makes me a little bit disappointed, but you can't really knock the overall movie itself for that. You just say, okay, this is what it is. Let's go with it. Um, so all that said was that I liked the movie, and I liked it better as it progressed. Didn't love the movie, but fully understanding that a second viewing or third viewing would help, because now I come in when I come in at the beginning of the movie, it's like, okay, I know what we're doing, and then I can pick up on other things quickly. Writing wise, I did think they shorthanded a few things.
Yeah.
Like I talked about the language that everybody else loved, and but that was just me. That's the way I felt about it. So yeah, liked it, didn't love it, but I'm definitely open to watching it again.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Give it 2 or 20 more times, and I think you'll be there.
Yeah, no doubt. We definitely have to give it to him. There are a few more comments about this. Um, 1348 needs a
I am
4K, at
I am
very least a
jonesing for a
Blu-ray.
4K of this. I would I would love a 4K.
Yeah, surprised that it
Give
hasn't
me a
gotten
Blu-ray.
at least a
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
just a DVD. I mean, you think, Scream Factory or Shot Factory might do it, or I could see a boutique label maybe picking that up. But
Yeah,
I mean, I
and
think
especially
it's
some of the titles that get announced here. It's like that
yeah, and
that's getting a
it's
4K.
Touchstone. So Touchstone that did it,
Hmm.
and I think did Disney buy Touchstone? I can't remember, but
Yeah, that's going to be a problem then.
either Disney or Sony bought Touchstone. I
I
think it was
think it was
Disney.
Disney. Yeah,
I
that's
think it
going to
was
be a
Disney.
problem.
And I think that's the problem. I think that's the
Yeah,
reason why there hasn't been an upgrade of this.
once they get it, they just kind of lock it in a vault somewhere, and
But maybe 2029. We'll get a we'll
maybe.
get a we'll get a 30th anniversary or something. Hey, no, next year's 25th anniversary.
Yeah, possibly.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Disney. Maybe.
Yeah, for them though, it seems like it's got to be Star Wars, Marvel, or be animated. Everything else they could give a damn
And just,
about.
yeah, right in the trash.
Yeah,
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 I think Caveman said something down there that Disney created Touchstone. So
yeah. Okay, John, my watch list is almost as big as some people's collections. Hey, look, as big as my collection is, I'm sure my watch list is bigger. It's just that's just the way it is.
yeah, I don't think my watch list is as big as my collection, but my watched list is gigantic.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Caveman, woo, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that John Doe Gigolo. I think I got it right. I tried. Says Patrick, I never believed those inflated production budgets. Yeah, yeah. There's something to that.
Yeah. I
The
am that 125 that's from numbers.com, which
Okay.
I look to that for their budget and box office numbers and stuff like that when I do my reviews, and that's where I got that from. So,
So use numbers instead of box office mojo.
yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm curious if they say the same thing now. Uh
I think it's pretty
Touchstone.
close, but IMDb has it too, and IMDb's numbers are always different.
Yeah, I don't really look
So
at their numbers.
I don't look to IMDb unless there's nothing in the numbers.
Got you. Got you. K-Man says Disney. Yeah, Disney created Touchstone.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So we are caught up with the chat there. So let's go ahead and move on to the other movie of the night. And I told you I was going to talk about why I streamed this movie instead of watching it on disc when we were talking backstage. So I
Mhm.
have the disc here, and I'm going to show it in a minute. Movie swap. I try to watch these movies usually the weekend before the swap, but it was just kind of busy for me. I'm running around all over the place. So, and honestly, I got to the 13th Warrior late last night. So this morning, I wound up watching my movie in 3 parts, which is why I streamed it, because it was okay. As I was getting up, getting dressed for work this morning, I was watching part of it, went to work, then at work, watched another part on my lunch break, and then came home and finished it up back at home. So, streaming made sense for me in this case. So, but I do have the disc, and it's a movie from Fuseback. I don't have the year in front of me. I'm sorry, but it
It's
is
from 2016.
there you go, 2016. I see. I knew I liked you. Fences from. I'm gonna go solo for a minute. All right.
Okay.
Fences Denzel Washington stars and directs this time. He plays uh, a gentleman by the name of Troy Maxon, and Troy is an ornery sort of fellow. We meet him in his 50s, and is also the 1950s, I believe, maybe early 60s. I think it's late 1950s, and he's a sanitation worker, and he's married to Rose, who is Viola Davis's character, and he's a tough sort to get along with. He's giving everybody hell in every conversation, and it's basically about uh his relationship with them and their relationship with him, and how that all plays out. We also have Michael T. Williamson is in the movie. Most of you know as Bubba from Forrest Gump. He plays a mentally challenged character here, his brother Gabe. He has a son named Lyons, um, played by drawing a blank on his name. Oh, something. Russell Hornsby. Thank you. Russell Hornsby is his older son, named Lyons, who's kind of a deadbeat. He doesn't really work. He's a musician. Not to say all musicians are deadbeats. And then he has a younger son who's getting named. Ooh, wow, lost it that quick. But he has a younger son who's in high school and plays football and wants to be recruited. Who's about to be recruited by a college. And you got to remember, the movie is not about racial tension, but that plays into a lot of what Troy is talking about, or the way he sees the world. Let me put it that way. All right. So Fences, and Denzel directed the movie, as I said, and it is based on a stage play by August Wilson. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. One of the things that stage plays, when they become movies, is they still feel like stage plays a lot. They're kind of trapped in a box. How do you think he translated this one from the stage to the screen?
Well, I didn't know it was a stage play, but it makes sense after seeing the movie, because most of the most of the stuff takes place either in the house, in the backyard.
Mhm.
A few scenes take place, at work, or very few times in the truck. So yeah, I can see that, judging by the cinematography, where it was filmed, the set locations and things like that. That makes a lot of sense. That being said, I still think they did a good job with it.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, you can only work with what you're given, and in this case, like I said, he's working with just those few scenes, and he managed to pull it off pretty well. There was some times when it does kind of feel a little bit trapped in a box to me, but overall I thought they did a really good job with that. And of course, the man of the hour is Denzel here, because again, he not only directed, but he is the main character. He and Troy. Did you like Troy?
Oh no, I mean, I no, I didn't like him. Um, I had a stepfather that was very similar to this man.
Okay.
Um, I mean, and I say similar, but my stepdad was on a whole other level when I grew up. But there were elements in his personality and his tone and the way he treated his kids and his wife that gave me pause.
Okay.
Um, so so that made it a little bit of a tough watch because
Mhm.
of the life that I lived. But so yeah, I didn't like I didn't like Troy as a person, and that just made me like Denzel Washington more, because
Okay.
Denzel Washington's my favorite actor on the planet,
Hmm.
bar none. Um, and his job for this movie, I was gripped by his performance. Not as much as Viola Davis.
We'll get to
Um,
her. Yeah.
we'll get to her in a second, but Denzel Washington, one of the few people that, as director and actor, I think he did a stand-up job.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people, when they direct and act, the acting tends to slip in favor of the directing.
Yeah.
So they almost seem like they phoned it in. And I'm going to go to Creed 3 on that. I felt Michael B. Jordan in his directorial debut did a good job, but his acting suffered because of it,
Okay.
because he was really focused on doing the directing.
Okay.
Another with the last Insidious movie, Patrick Wilson directed it, and the same type of thing. I felt his performance wasn't as good, was lacking because he was focused on the directing.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if this was Denzel's first directing
No.
job. I don't think it was. It didn't feel
No.
like it.
I know in 2009 he had at least one other. In 2009 he directed The Great Debaters.
Oh, that's an excellent movie. But
Yeah.
yeah.
He directed that one also. I'm not sure if there are others off the top of my head, but I do know he directed that one.
Yeah, great. Antoine Fisher, he directed as
Yes,
well.
Antoine Fisher. Yes,
And yeah, that was also really good.
so he's a capable director. He just
He is.
I wish he would do a little more of it.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of him.
Yeah, and you mentioned that his performance was gripping, and it was. Of course, the other performance was Viola
Man,
Davis.
man.
Go ahead. I'll let you talk on Viola.
Okay. I'm sorry, Viola Davis does no wrong. I've never seen. I've seen her do a bad movie, but I've never seen her be bad in a movie.
Agreed.
Um, from The Help to, oh my goodness, I mean, just everything that she's Widows. I loved her in that.
Mm-hmm.
And this, at first, I was like, she's awfully subdued in this movie,
Right.
but justifiably so. And she kind of explains it in the movie why she behaved the way she was.
Yes.
And I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I want people to see it, but there's one particular scene. I mean, there's two really great scenes, one with the husband and one with the son,
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, oh man. And she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for this.
Yes.
She absolutely deserved it.
Oh yeah. I actually saw this in the theaters for the first time, and as I was watching, it was like, oh, she's got to win everything. She's just got to win
Yeah.
everything. And I actually felt that way about Denzel. I thought he was just as good. So now let me get to the dynamics of their relationship, though. Who is in charge?
Oh, no, Viola Davis was in charge. Rose was in charge.
Rose was in charge. Yes.
Rose was in charge. But it's one of those where, okay, you can go ahead and be in front.
Yeah.
I'll let you think you run. And this is kind of like my house. I think I'm in charge, but my kids know, and everybody knows that it's my wife. My wife's in charge.
Right.
She runs the show. I'm the front man, but I don't have any voting power at all.
Yeah, she was.
I'm the prime minister of Iceland.
Though.
That's it. That's all I get.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Again, that first time I watched it, you get the feeling that he's overrunning her, and to a degree he is, just because he has a bully nature
Yes.
about him.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she's calling all the shots. When he's getting into an argument, he's like, yeah, I just get my paycheck and I give it to you, and I don't have anything but what you give me back. And
yeah,
when the son comes over and he said, nope, I'm not going to give you another dime, and she's, oh, why don't you let him have the $10 he asked for? And it happens, and it's just that kind of thing happens. Throughout the movie, that kind of thing happens over and over. So it was interesting, and I don't want to spoil it either because I want people to see it too. But as I told you, I broke it up into parts when I was watching it. The second part that I was watching, and it so happened to end on that great, or not probably not the scene you're talking about between her and Denzel, but a later one where there's now a baby involved,
Yes.
and she's kind of coming to grips with this, and
Yeah.
she says something really cold to Denzel. It's
Oh,
like, yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
take care of the
Oh,
baby, but
but
so after she says this line, I immediately hit pause because my lunch break was just about over. But besides that, I was like, "Oh wait, mic drop moment. I gotta stop here. That's a mic drop moment right
yeah,
right then and there." And she was just fantastic in this movie. There's some other folks I do want to talk about in the movie,
yeah.
and let's go ahead and check in with the chat though real quick. Sarah is back. She's saying hey again and hey to everybody in the chat. And James Fence's nice choice. Glad Miss Viola got her long-deserved Oscar for her role in this. And Caveman saying hey to Sarah. And we got some more haze back and forth. Do you recommend movies, Caveman? Sarah's asking Caveman. Of course he does. We all do. And
We
that's what
all
he
do
says.
that.
Yes, of course. Yep. Patrick Russell Hornsby from Grimm.
Yep.
I know Hornsby more from Roger played Lincoln Rhymes in the television version of The Bone Collector, which Denzel played in the film. I know him
Yes.
more from The Hate You Give. I did see The Bone Collector, but I know him more from The Hate You Give,
Yep. That's a good one.
where he was amazing in that movie. I thought not given as much to do here, but he was still really good.
No, but it was a dynamic that you needed for Denzel's role.
Yes,
So yeah, he's not present all the time, but when he's present, you learn more about who Troy is.
you do. You absolutely do.
Yeah,
Sarah, can you please send me a request for bar list? I'm not quite sure what that means. Can you send me a list of movies? I'm thinking she's talking to
probably from
Caveman. She's looking for
Caveman.
some recommendations. Yes. And oh wow, didn't know Denzel directed this as well. I need to see this. Yes, Holland Denzel did direct. And
Yes.
I think she's talking about Patrick Wilson. And Fences on Paramount and MGM Plus for everyone. I watched it on Amazon Prime today when I had to stream it. So anybody out there, if you have Prime, it is part of that.
Yeah, I watched it on Prime Saturday night. That's when I did it
Okay.
after I cooked
And
dinner.
yeah, there you go. Sarah's looking for those recommendations, not on streaming, so something she can get. Cal is here. What's going on, Cal?
What's
Says,
up,
hey, Dell
Cal?
in 4K
Another good
low.
person.
Yep. Davis is really good, but overacts a lot for me.
Okay. She
Okay.
cries in just about everything, so I guess, but yeah, I buy it. I buy it every time. If she cried to me, I'd give her my wallet. I am so sorry. Here you go. She'd be
I,
like,
I,
"You didn't buy no cookies. I'm sorry. Here, I'll go get
yeah,
cookies right now."
yeah. You know what though? I think it's one of those things where she's so good at it that if other people did it, it would come off easily like overacting. At least for me, it would come
Yeah,
off like overacting if other people did it. But when she does it, it's just powerful. And
but
it's one of those things where, for instance, if you're if you play basketball, for instance, you see LeBron James or Stephen Curry, you see some of these guys do something and it looks effortless and it looks great, and then you go out and do the same exact thing, or you think you're doing the same exact thing, but it doesn't come out as well. That's kind of how I feel with Viola Davis. Is like, yeah, I've seen other actresses just kind of try to tear into a role and do those things, but then it just comes off phony and overreaching
yeah,
and those kinds of things.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, she can ugly cry with the best of them.
Oh my god.
But I mean, she was well deserved of this. I could feel her pain
Yes,
in
every
this
bit.
movie. And yeah, that turning point, your mic drop moment.
Yeah.
This was where, yeah, it's not this baby's fault, but I got something for you.
Right.
and
Exactly. Exactly.
and that was it. So it was, oh, okay. Um, but yeah, that was where I was like, oh yeah, I knew it. That was where, I'm sorry, you took the top off the pressure cooker
Yep. Exactly.
with what he
Exactly.
did.
Mm-hmm.
So
He
now
absolutely
you're just gonna get the real me all the time now. I'm not gonna hold anything back.
And hey, it's my favorite Superman talking about Kal-El, of course.
Mm-hmm.
KB agrees. He says Viola Davis can do no wrong. Watch her 8 Minutes in Doubt. She outshone Meryl
Oh,
Streep. Who
yes.
does that? Yes, she was amazing.
Yeah.
She was amazing in Doubt. I had my issues with Doubt, but she was definitely not one of them.
I had my issues with that. That was a tough watch, but
It was.
she was amazing. Yeah, I mean, and I'm speaking of Ender's Game. Like, Ender's Game is not a great movie, but Viola Davis does a great
No.
job. She has no business being in that film.
Yeah, Ender's Game. Ooh, yeah.
Oof.
That was tough.
That's
That was tough
Independence
for a
Day
different
2.
reason.
Yeah, they took Ender's Game and they made it Independence Day 2. Neither of them were good.
Right. That was yeah.
I'm gonna quit
That was a
talking
tough
about
watch
that
for a completely
stuff.
different reason.
Oof. Yeah. Oof. Okay.
Yeah. K-Man Francis is from a play by August Wilson. Yep.
Yes.
See, I had it right.
Yeah, you did.
Kal-El Nally. Bone Collectors maybe top 5 Denzel movie. Debatable. Not for me, but it is a good movie.
Yeah. I love Bone Collector. It's my number 3 favorite thriller of all time.
Oh, okay. Okay, man. I need to rewatch it then. Maybe I'm missing something. But
Yeah,
I do
love
like the movie.
I love
Not
Queen
gonna say that I
Latifah.
don't.
Queen Latifah is amazing in that movie.
She's good. I love Queen Latifah.
I met her in Stockton,
I've heard this
California.
story. Go ahead and tell the story. I've heard this story.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I told you the story.
Yeah.
So I used to manage a hotel up in Northern California, and of course we have the local county fair, and we cater to all the concert people. They stay the night at the hotel. We have a good deal with the county fair. Queen Latifah came to play at the county fair, and we didn't have a bellman at the time. So, as the manager, I went out, unloaded her car, put everything on the rack, and she had probably 30 bags. I had it all in this luggage cart, took it up to her room, knock on the door. She opens the door and looks at her stuff and goes, "Damn." She goes, "Get in here. I'm buying you a soda. You're taking a break. I'll unload this. You don't move." So she sits me down, gives me a soda from the minibar, which is expensive, and she puts all her luggage away. She's talking to me, and we just sat there and chatted for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
About stuff. And she goes, "I'm going to call the front desk and let them know you're taking a break." So she calls the front desk, and she goes, "I've got David up here and he's taking a break." And they said to him, go ahead. He's the manager. So, and she hangs up the phone. She goes, "You're the manager?" And I go, "Yep." And she goes, "Well, I didn't need to tell them you're taking a break. You just do what you want." So yeah, so we sat there and just talked. And Dana is an amazing person. Just a great person to
That's
talk
cool. That's cool. I've never met her. I've been listening to her music since her very first album when she was like 18 and I was 18 or so. And so if I said to myself, if I ever meet her, though, I'm gonna tease her that she owes me about $20. And the reason being, when I was in the army, I was stationed in Hawaii, and she came out there to do a show. This was when her second album had just come out. And she did it on the other end of the island. And it was like a 7 o'clock show in the evening, which is already early for a concert. But if anybody's been to a concert, which most of us have, opening act, maybe opening 2-3 acts, pretty good chance the main act is late. So, you're not expecting the main act to go on until 9:30, 10 o'clock at the earliest at a 7 o'clock show. Long story short, my friends and I got there about 7:30. And it was held it was on a military base in an airplane hangar. So we're walking up towards the door, and I hear Queen Latifah's voice loud and clear. "Thank you, Hawaii. Good night. Bye." And we all kind of look at each other. That was with some of my friends. We all kind of look like, "Wait, 7:30? It's over? Are you serious right now?" We had already bought tickets and all. So I thought if I ever meet her, I'm gonna see how she responds to my request for $20. So. With any
I
luck,
think
she
she'll be
won't have
cool about it,
security.
but yeah, you probably won't get your money. But,
No, I won't get one.
But I don't know. Good people. I mean, I've been connected never been. I mean, aside from doing stunt work on movies and TV series, because I was a former professional wrestler, but I met a lot of celebrities working in the hotels and working in professional wrestling. And I got to say, she's one of the top 5 people I've ever met.
Cool, cool. She definitely has a place in my heart and in my house, really, because my wife still watches Equalizer every week
Me too.
and loves it. I don't want but I do kind of keep an eye on it. It's a good show. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things where I know how old she is, and watching her do some stuff is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a fault of her, but
No,
it is what it is. All right. Um, all right, Cal, since I feel you, Dell, I think she got to that ugly. Oh, she go to that ugly little too often, but she is great, no question. Okay, he's talking about Viola Davis.
yeah.
And thank you for Kalo. You're a great guy too, says Cal.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. And Coach, you my boy. And Emma's asking a question. Have you seen Malcolm X in the movie theater? I did see Malcolm X in the movie theater. I don't know if you did or not.
I did not, but I
Okay.
have the Criterion 4K, and it is amazing.
I just bought it a couple weeks ago. I didn't watch it yet on 4K but I have seen the movie 5, 6 times,
Yeah.
maybe. Um, it is an amazing movie. And I did get to see it in theaters, and it was definitely an experience.
Hmm.
Uh Miss Caveman, I love Viola Davis, but did not like her portrayal of Michelle Obama in the First Lady series. I didn't see that. So I don't know if did you see that?
I did see that. I didn't see the whole series, but I can see that. Miss Caveman, yeah, I think you're onto something there. I didn't care for her performance there. Um,
Okay.
I had my own pick to be Michelle Obama in the First Lady series. I was hoping.
Okay.
I didn't get her. Um, Angela Bassett was my pick.
Okay.
Um,
Angela Bass is also great. I
Angela
don't
Bassett's great, and
I'm having a hard time seeing her as Michelle Obama, but I see where you're going
I
though.
can't see anybody really be Michelle Obama, but that was my pick. I was like, oh, who would you have play Michelle Obama? And I was like, oh, I'd have Angela Bassett. Um, I that's another one. I've never met her, but I absolutely love her acting. And she does a show called 911, and that's something that I watch
Yeah.
all the time. And
Oh
I
yeah.
like her on that
Yeah.
too.
I see that show all the time too. That's another one. My wife's much more of a TV watcher than I am. So and most TV stuff that I see is because I kind of wandered into the room when she was watching it, or I
Yeah.
just happened to be in there when she's watching it. And I've
Yeah.
seen 911 a lot.
Yeah.
So I do like the show when I see it. And yeah, she is great. Cal says, yeah, Davis is really good in Suicide Squad, even though that movie is booty cheeks. Yeah, well, they can't all be winners.
They can't all. But booty cheeks, I like that. So I
Yes.
might use that. I might use that on the lowdown at some point. Uh, but
Patrick likes your story. He says, cool story.
thanks.
She sounds awesome. Please film at next time. Just kidding.
Uh, I
We
wish they
love
they
Dana.
didn't have camera phones back then, Cal. It was like
No,
90, 92,
no, they
93.
didn't. Yeah. Ms. KMS says, thank you for your service, Dell. No problem. And I tell people, I was in the first Gulf War happened when I was in, but I did not have to go to war. So I stayed in Hawaii. So I really tell people, thank other people, because I mean, I did my part. I had a job, and I was part of the military intelligence community. But I really, to me, at 19 to 21 years old, 18 to 21 years old, I really spent 2.5 years just hanging out and getting drunk with my friends. So, so thank other people who did real work.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. My dad is also one. I'm guessing a vet.
Hmm.
Equalizer TV show is really good. No one is talking about it. Yeah, it is a pretty good show.
I hear
Uh,
they're only doing one more season though, and then they're done.
really? Okay,
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'll share that news with my wife or not. She may be
Don't do that. I
devastated.
don't. And don't tell her it's my fault. Don't throw me under the bus with it. But yeah, I heard that they were going to cancel it at the end of this last season, but then they said no, we're going to let it go one more to end it. Kind of like what they're
Okay.
doing with SWAT, same type of thing. They were going to cancel it, but no, they're going to do one more season to actually end
Okay.
the show proper. But yeah, I don't know if it has to do with the writer's strike or what. It's probably something to do with it. But
Yeah, that's kind of messing up a lot of things here for viewers, and of course for them, their money. Cal says, "Yeah, Angela for Michelle, easy. I can't see Davis in that role." Okay. And Miss Caveman, yes, Dave. Angela Bassett would have been great. She was so great as Tina Turner. I love 911. Yep.
she was great as Tina Turner, and
Oh, she was
I
phenomenal.
her portrayal of King Ramona in Wakanda Forever is kind of where I got that regal, because Michelle Obama is a regal person. She reminds me
Yes.
of royalty, and
Yes.
that's where I'm getting that from with Angela
Okay.
Bassett's performance, which was nominated for an Oscar, but she didn't win. That's kind of where I'm getting. And the arms, I think they both have outstanding arms.
The Angela Bassett arms for Tina Turner were impressive.
Oh yeah,
For sure, for sure. And John Doe Juggalo, I like that they're allowing shows to finish properly. And last one before we get back to the movie from Caveman, I prefer the original Equalizer series, but I enjoy Queen's version.
yeah.
I watched the original one, but it was so long ago I can't really say if I liked it better or not. To be
I don't know
honest,
if I like that British dude, but yeah,
yeah,
it was good. I watched it, but yeah, no, I prefer the Denzel movies as far as
yeah, the
Equalizers go.
Denzel
I
movies are
think, oh
fun. Yes.
man, the third one's coming out in September. I am so jonesing for that.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
All right. So there were some other great performances in this movie. I mentioned Michael T. Williamson, who Bubba in the Forrest Gump movie.
Mhm.
What do you think of his work as Gabe?
I think I think he just pulled that right from Forrest Gump, and was able to fit that role perfectly. I liked him as Gabe in the
Hmm.
movie, and it was funny because I was sitting here with my daughter watching it, and she goes, "Oh, he's doing a good job. The guy who plays Gabe is doing a good job." I says, "Yeah, that's Bubba from Forrest Gump." And she didn't realize it.
She didn't realize it. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't realize. Oh yeah, and then it dawned on her, and I was like, "Yeah, that was a role that he could do that with his eyes closed."
Yeah, and I think that's been a bit of a detriment to his career
Yeah,
because he's actually a really good actor overall.
he's a great
Um,
actor.
Yeah, but he's kind of pigeonholed after Forrest Gump came out, and then this movie got a lot of Oscar acclaim and Oscar buzz, so a lot of people saw it, and they're kind of like, well, I see you as that now, and I think
Yeah,
so. I kind of wish better for him, but I did think he did really well. Another performance was, of course, his son Corey was the son's name. I didn't mention. I couldn't get it out before. Played
yeah,
by a kid named Jovan Adepo,
yeah.
and he had a couple of really powerful scenes in the movie, I thought. And I don't know that I've seen him in much else, but I don't know. How do you think he fared here, especially having to stand up to acting wise to Denzel and Viola
Well,
Davis?
yeah, that was. I think he did a good job. I liked his performance. I liked him as the son, and I don't know, it made sense because he seemed more raw and unseasoned compared to Denzel. So the
Mhm.
dynamic between the two actors meant more to me as them being father and son.
Right.
So I liked his performance because he wasn't that good, but I still felt his pain and
Right.
how he felt about how he felt about his dad not
Mhm.
not really supporting him.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to go much further than that because there's some really powerful stuff with him too, with him and his dad back and forth about why were you this way to me all my life.
Yeah. And that it again, not really spoiling anything because this is kind of early in the movie when this happens, but
Yeah.
that gives us to the what Law says. I got to like you. That whole speech,
Yes.
and
And that's kind of in the trailer. So if you watch the trailer, you'll kind of get that. But yeah, it's,
yeah,
how come you never liked me? And he's like, what law is it that I gotta like you? Why do
yeah,
I have to like you just because you're my son?
yep,
And I was like, oh crap. Okay. Well,
yeah,
and it's
good.
the, one thing that I tell my wife, it's one thing, because we just celebrated our 29th anniversary.
Congratulations again.
And
I saw some great pictures from that.
that was a lot of fun. We had a blast, especially with it being 50 degrees colder where we were at than we are now. But the thing people ask us is like, how do you guys like, how have you liked each other all this time? And I said, we don't have to like each other all the time.
Mhm.
That's the point. That's how you kind of have a successful marriage. You have to realize that you don't have to like each other all the time, but you do have to love each other all the time.
Right.
And it's a different thing. And I can absolutely love my wife unconditionally, but I don't have to like her all the time. Especially
Oh,
when she says no to my Amazon cart. um, but
yeah.
but yeah, it's like that. And that's the thing with Troy and Corey was, I don't have to like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got to raise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to raise you. He says, I owe you a responsibility. And that was pretty
Yeah.
much what his
Yeah.
answer to that
You're a job.
was.
It's basically, yeah, you're a job to me.
Right. Right. That is exactly it.
Yeah. This was in a time where fathers really didn't convey their emotions to their kids.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of sensitivity there. And you saw it, but you could tell, you could tell that he loved his kids, but he didn't really know how to express that, or he couldn't express it.
A little bit of both.
A
He
little bit of both.
couldn't and
Didn't want to.
didn't know how.
Yeah,
Didn't
it
want
wasn't,
to.
show of weakness or whatever, but
Yeah, that was
no.
going to be my next thing. Was kind of kept his guard up.
Yeah.
There was, it definitely would have been a show of weakness for him to, show any compassion or any any bend in his will, especially towards his son. Because yeah, it was, the whole football thing, that sets off an explosion,
Yeah.
and not a literal one, but an emotional explosion. And it's really, had he acquiesced to his son at all, it would have been, at least in his mind, I think, showing weakness, and
Yeah.
he couldn't live with that, couldn't have that.
No.
All right. The last performance is really the last person in the cast, since we're going down the line, and that is my man Bono, played by Stephen McKinley Henderson. And his, for me, is the most fun performance in the movie, because he doesn't have the heaviness of the baggage of being in the family. He just kind of pops in to shoot the shit with Troy, and every now and again he drops some pearls of wisdom on him, and especially towards the end of the movie. Were you vibing with Bono?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like Bono, because he is that good friend. You know how they say the good friend isn't the one that bails you out of jail; it's the one sitting in the cell going, "That was fun," and
Right.
that's what Bono is.
Yes.
And then, but he got to that point to where he was like, you know what, you did something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and he let him have it, and then he didn't talk to him, and I was like, but it was very, very passive with it, because
Right.
it was, I love you, man, but this is wrong. And I really like that about his character. Otherwise, yeah, he was the happy-go-lucky buddy that was always, like the cartoon with Spike the bulldog and the little tiny dog and bouncing
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what that kind of reminded me of, where he was just, um, you know, I'm not going to say worshiping the ground he walked on, but he was like right there with Denzel, arm in arm, best buds, worked together, came home, hung out at home before he went to his wife. Like best friend, brothers in arms, ride or die. That was the guy. And then you could see him start to pull out when he saw something was wrong.
Yes. And so now that he let him have it, like you said, he let him have it. So my question then is it really passive, or he's just not boisterous like Troy would be? Because Troy would be, hooping and hollering.
Well,
But
and that's the
I don't.
thing. He was a counterpoint to Troy. So I think that
Right.
his complete personality was like that, but his whole thing was passive. It was, even when Troy started boistering and arguing and saying stuff, he would turn around and say, yeah, you're not like that, you're gonna say sorry to your wife, and you're gonna do, it was, he
Right.
was like that through the entire movie. And even when he was mad at him, he was still passive about it.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And he was, I would even say cryptic to a point. He didn't want to come out and say that he done wrong. He was like, I'm your man through all this, but if this were to happen, wink, wink,
Right.
nudge, nudge, I would no longer want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want
Right.
to be a part, connected to you like that. I couldn't do it
Okay.
because I love you and your wife, and I wouldn't want to see that happen. So yeah, I think he was passive all the way through, but I think, like Viola Davis's character, I think Bono had to be as a counterpoint to Troy, because Troy was so in your face all the time.
Yes, yes, he definitely was. He definitely was. All right. So the last thing for me that I really wanted to kind of talk about was just the the phrases that were thrown around in the writing. There were some crazy lines and s- within these, because it's really a lot of monologuing in this movie. So we get characters just going on for quite a bit, and we get some crazy turns of phrases. And one of my favorites was one that Troy says. He says, "Was Friday night? I come home, I fall down on top of you, and try to blast the hole to forever." So that that was kind of like, wow. And I hadn't seen it in a little bit, so that when it happened, that kind of jogged my memory. It's like, I might just say that one day and see what happens. What kind of reaction am I going to get to that if I say that one around the house? But
No,
yeah, yeah.
I'd fall down in the doghouse if I said something like that. I wouldn't be like, no. She'd be like, no, get out. That's not. Um, but
Got to say it with a smile.
you got to say it with a smile, and then you got to finish off it. But baby, I love you, and then that's.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, but it was a different time, and I got to say, this is a very dialogue driven movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's all
Um,
dialogue. Yeah.
so it had to have a really good actors to pull this off, and I think they accomplished that. But yeah, there are lines, and there are phrases and sayings and innuendo and um analogies. Like he compared his life to baseball all the time.
Yes. Yes. Lots of
The type
baseball
of person he
analogies.
is, his arguments with his son, that's strike two. You gotta, you know, you better not strike out, stuff like that, where he would just, because he was a big baseball player, and that's part of the reason why he rejected Corey's football stuff. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But yeah,
Right. Right.
the dialogue was confusing at first for me, but
Okay.
I could I could see the forest through the trees and understand what he's meaning, even though, through his exaggeration and through everything that he was saying, there was about 80% truth. And once you click on that, you can tell what's true and what's not when he's talking, by the way Denzel behaves when he tells his
Hmm.
stories. And
Yes.
I don't know how I caught this with the first watch, but I was like, oh, he's lying. That's not true.
Right. Right.
And I want to see if somebody catches that. If somebody watches that and catches that, there's a tell that Denzel has in the movie as Troy, to where you can tell if he's full of crap or not. But yeah,
He
no,
does
it's
that.
very dialogue driven. It's hard to understand, but you got to get that it's the 50s and see the forest through the trees,
Yeah.
and
And
you can grasp this.
yeah, and they're along with that is that with them just being good actors, their chemistry was pretty amazing. And this goes back to it being adapted from a stage play,
Mhm.
which a little bit of trivia. I don't know if anybody's mentioned it, but Denzel and Viola Davis actually played these exact parts on Broadway before this movie was made. They did it in 2010, I think.
Okay.
So
I
they,
would have thought that when you mentioned it, I was like, I could see them actually performing this play
hmm
to get them, to get them an understanding of how to play these characters. I could see them do this. And that
yeah,
makes a lot of sense with how
yeah.
their performance is in the movie. I could see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We hadn't checked in the chat in a little bit. Let's go ahead and check in with those guys. Emmett, The Dark Knight and Catwoman is your favorite to least favorite DC movie. If you're asking me to rank them all, maybe we'll do that on the back end of the stream here, because we're gonna finish up with Fences in just a little bit. Cal, hated or love it. Lawrence Fishburne was amazing as well in that biopic. He's talking about what's love got to do with it, and he
Mhm.
was amazing in that.
Yeah.
Cal, he was excellent as Gabe. Michael T. Williamson, he is good at those roles. Also, villain roles. He's had a
Yeah.
couple of those in his life. Yep.
Yeah. I
He
liked
was.
him in Con Air too. He just,
Yep.
he didn't have much of a part there, but he was crucial to Nicolas Cage's role.
Okay. Yeah. It's been so long since I've seen Con Air. I need to watch it again. He
Yeah.
was better as Larry. Is what Trini says. Miss Caveman. I met Ike in person in Jacksonville, Florida. What an ass. Yes, Lawrence Fishburne did him justice in that movie. Wow. That is
Okay.
an
Ass
interesting
isn't a
story.
terrible person, not like, nice butt.
Yeah.
So I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that I was like, did he have a nice butt? I don't remember him having a nice butt. Um, but yeah, no,
Okay.
I've met,
I see where
no,
your
what,
mind is tonight, Dave, because I didn't
I'm
think that at
sorry. My
all.
mind is always there. I've got my 5-year-old brain going. So, but no, one of the worst celebrities I ever met, believe it or not, Florence Henderson.
Mom from the Brady Bunch, really?
Yeah. Oh, she was I had to tell her not to talk to any of my staff because she was making people
Wow.
cry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
You got more
she was like, I
celebrity
am
friends
never going
here.
to stay here again. I said, your room is free. You can leave whenever you want. Um, but yeah, no, absolute worst person I've ever met, celebrity wise.
Wow. That kind of takes a lot of shine off my childhood. All
Mine
right.
too. I was like, you're Mrs. Brady. What's wrong with you?
Exactly. All right, caveman. This is that British dude, the equalizer, flipped me off when I walked across the crosswalk on Hollywood Boulevard. My only celebrity encounter here.
Yeah.
LOL.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that I'd flip you off when if I ever meet you face to face, caveman, but just don't be surprised if it happens. But it would be all about love. I think you'd flip me off too.
There you go. Culture, he knocked dudes out about that name. All right. And very cringe scene for me on both ends for dad and son, in my opinion. Yeah. It was a lot of cringing, but not because it was bad, just tough
It's
to sit
tough.
through.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough watch.
Yep. And her comment came back again.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for the dollar signs instead of the
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Cass is careful for Kalo. People might clips that show and show the wife.
She absolutely knows. She already doesn't like me, so it's fine. Um,
Moving Trains is here. Hey, Del, sorry I'm late, but happy birthday. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. John Doe, I'm going to watch Fences now. It sounds good. Yeah, let me know how you like it.
yeah.
And we're going to get to how Dave liked it in a minute. Cal, wow, I actually had a thing from Brady Mama too. LOL, yeah. And Miss Caveman, sorry for the duplicate. Don't think my post went through. No big deal. All
That's
right,
fine.
so go ahead, Dave. I'm gonna turn it over to you to hear your overall thoughts on the movie. If there's anything I missed on it you wanted to talk about, and just basically how you liked it or didn't like it.
Okay. I don't think we missed anything. I mean, you like I'm glad that you focused on the characters because this is
Hmm.
a very character driven movie. And
Absolutely.
I wanted to point out the difference here. And I mean, the two movies that we picked are night and day. They're
Yes.
absolute completely different. The 13th Warrior is very much situation driven and not much character driven, but Fences is very character driven and dialogue heavy. So
Hmm.
you got to be able to sit and dig and go deep into it, and it makes it a very tough watch. It's but it has to be. The situation calls for that. Um did I like this movie? Yes. It is very good quality wise. I have to say though, it is a one-time watch for me. I probably will not watch it again because of the nature of the dialogue and
Hmm.
having it so close to some of the things that I actually dealt with in my childhood.
Got you. Got it.
Um, but it's a fantastic film. It is definitely worth seeing.
Okay. I will definitely take that. I can totally understand it being a one timer because yeah, it's got some tough scenes to watch in it, and if you've had any family trife at all, you can kind of relate to some of the things that happen in this
Yeah,
movie. So I will definitely take that as a win, as in I recommended a good movie for you,
yeah,
but totally get that it's a one time watch.
yeah.
Now, normally this is the part of the stream where I would just turn it over to you. You would let everybody know all about you, and then we'd sign off. Do you have to go, or are you good to hang out for a bit?
I'm good to hang out.
All right, cool, cool. So, as I said at the top of the show, tomorrow is actually my birthday. I'm gonna be 52 years young, and I'm also gonna try to stay off the internet tomorrow for the most part. I just decided to do it tonight. Whatever I'm gonna talk about my birthday. So for this, guys, if you have any questions for myself, you have any questions for Dave, just go ahead and fling them out there and I will answer them to the best of my ability, or Dave will answer those questions. Love Fishburne and Fled. I did see Fled. Fled was pretty good. Have you seen Fled?
Fled was funny. I liked it.
Yeah. Fled was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
I,
Now,
I think my
since
favorite,
well,
yeah. What's your favorite Fishburne would be?
probably Boys in the Hood.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, probably
I
Boys in
get
the
that.
Hood.
It would be Deep
Yeah.
Cover for me.
Deep cover
I
is right there.
Yeah.
Deep cover is right there.
I love Deep Cover.
Oh, it's a man. Did you get the criterion for deep cover?
No, I wanted to, but it
I
didn't happen.
Yeah, I did get it, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. But it's Blu-ray, not 4K. So I was,
Right. I have the
maybe one day
DVD,
we'll.
so I was like, yeah. If a
I
4K
had
comes,
the
I'll probably grab it.
Yeah, I had the DVD, but I just go ahead and I just went ahead and was like I've had the DVD for like 10, 12 years. I,
Yeah,
I want to upgrade. I'm itching to upgrade something, so I went ahead and got it.
sure.
And that was for me. Trini says, "Enjoy your born day tomorrow." Thank you, sir. I will do. All right. Now you mentioned professional wrestling. Now some of my audience may not know that you were a professional wrestler. So I'm gonna do a two-parter on this. First part, how'd you get into it?
Um, well, I've always been a fan of professional wrestling. I mean, going back to high school, and in it started in '92, where there was a training school in Northern California for the AWA, and they were looking for people, so I came in and trained with them for a while, and was their sales manager. So I got people in to go to the school and stuff. That lasted for about a year. And yeah, that was my gimmick. Get to that in a second. But all of a sudden the school closed down. The guy took off, took all the money and left.
Oh wow.
So I was like kind of dejected, but I had my knowledge. And when I moved down to Orange County, California, I went to a wrestling show for UPW, found out that UPW was a training school for the WWE, and walked up to him and said, oh, hey, I could help you guys out with your production because I know computers, I'm good with video. If, I can get you guys on the internet, do a web show for your live shows. In exchange, could you guys train me? And they went, no problem. So this was 99. And I
Okay.
stayed with them. I stayed with them for 4 years. Um, Became a wrestler. I also did lucha libre for a little while. But I was trying to be a heel. I was trying to be a bad guy. The only problem is I brought my kids with me to every show. And all they could do was cheer for me. So the ring announcer just on a whim changed my wrestling name to the Family Man right before a match. And all of a
Which
sudden
KB
all of a sudden I became a face and had to change my whole gimmick on the fly at the show while we were wrestling. And then, but yeah,
Okay.
it took, I got a little bit of a fan base. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I wrestled and trained with John Cena, Samoa Joe, some other ones. So if you guys know, I mean, everybody should know John Cena, but if you're a wrestling fan, Samoa Joe, Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. But yeah, I wrestled with those guys and trained with them. But yeah,
Okay.
my finishing move was called Timeout. As the Family
Okay.
Man, it was a finishing move. It was a submission move. And then I had another move called You're Grounded, which was a round off DDT from the top rope.
You're grounded. Love it.
But then I had like running with scissors, and I had made up all kinds of these gimmick moves. Because I was on the small side. I still am, but I was on the small side. So I had to do the gimmick stuff and jumping off the top rope and things like that in order to actually do anything in the business. But yeah, it
Got you.
got to where I
Got you.
was getting hurt all the time. And I was like, I got to make a decision. I don't want to take painkillers. So I just said, okay, I'm done. I was a referee for a good year at the end of that,
Mhm.
and then started to get hurt as a referee. And then I was like, okay, I
Okay.
just got to step off. So I stopped in 2003. And but yeah, there's still some videos on YouTube with me in it doing stuff.
Okay. So everybody go look for the Family Man
Yeah,
on
it'll
video
be,
on
look for
YouTube.
UPW. And I know there's one match with Samoa Joe and Conan where I was the referee, and you can see Samoa Joe kick me in the face.
Oh, cool.
So my wife gets a
All
kick
right.
out of that every time.
All right. So now you're talking to somebody who is not a professional wrestling fan at all. Don't like it.
Okay.
Really, really can't stand it.
Okay.
Now, I was a wrestling fan when I was in my pre-pubescent stages, and I'm talking when before WWE, when it was the WWF,
Right.
and Bob Backlund was the champion, and guys like Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Greg the Hammer Valentine, Tito Santana and Iron Sheik. Those guys were wrestling. Hulk Hogan hadn't even
Yeah.
come along yet, really.
Yeah. Ricky Steamboat was my guy.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Matter of fact, he was around, but he was kind of wrestling. He wasn't in the WWF then. He was like AWA. Back then they had AWA, NWA, and WWF.
Yeah.
And one day I pretty much found out that it was fake. And I say fake, I mean, I don't mean the athleticism, because I fully respect the athleticism for you guys or wrestlers to do what they do, but
Yeah.
that it was scripted.
Yeah.
And for me, heavily into sports, that scripted part turned me off. So if you're trying to sell me wrestling, what do you tell me now? with
Oh,
me just knowing that.
I don't want to sell it. I don't want to sell you wrestling. I mean, I get, I mean, and tons of people have said the same thing. Um, that,
Mhm.
I loved it. I was a fan until I found out that it wasn't real. And I'm like, and people have the argument of, well, movies aren't real, but you still go and see those.
Right.
And I can, I can support that too. But the bottom line is you like what you like. If you're not a fan of wrestling anymore, if the one thing that got you involved, got you to like wrestling was that you thought it was real, and then it's like all of a sudden you got a peek behind the curtain and it diminished your like for it, then there's nothing I can do to change your mind.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I can tell you that I've written those scripts, and I've watched them prepare, and I've helped them prepare for matches. I've prepared with them. I've
Mhm.
done these matches, and to say that it's scripted is really kind of loose also, because
Okay.
it's basically the script is, okay, we're going to have our first match is this person against this person, and then how it's supposed to end. That's the script.
Okay.
So it's, double DQ or double count out or win by pinfall or whatever, who's over. And that's it. Before the show happens, the two guys realize, oh, hey, I'm going to be wrestling this guy. So then they get together and they work out the day of their match, what they're going to do and the
Okay.
moves that they're going to do, how they're going to do the stuff, when they're going to work the crowd, stuff like that. And at that point, the referee, which at that, say it was me, I sit there and I watch them, and then they tell me their key points where I need to watch out for, positions that I need to be in, things like that. And then we just do it live. So it's basically like a whole bunch of stuntmen just performing a live show, like a big stunt job. Um,
Okay.
so
Lots of improv, I'm assuming
So
then.
yeah, lots of improv because people get hurt in the ring, things happen, moves
Mhm.
don't work or moves work really well. Also, the referee has to watch when the crowd stops getting involved into the match. So um, the crowd starts booing or they're quiet as the match is going on. That means you lost the crowd, and the referee can actually call the end of the match and say, look, take it home. And then you have a minute to end the match
Okay.
so we can
So
move on to the next match. Because you don't want to sit there and watch 20 minutes of two people pardon my French, humping each other for 20 minutes, and it makes no sense.
right.
And you're just sitting there going, bored. Um, so
Gotcha.
the referee has an important job. His job is to read the crowd as the match is going on and tell the guys when stuff's not working.
Got it.
So that was one of the things that I really liked as a referee. And also, whereas wrestlers do one match a night, I would do 3 or 4 as a referee.
Okay.
Um,
Now I
so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'd never heard that the refs had that kind of control.
Yeah,
That I had never heard before.
yeah. It was
Okay.
Rowdy Piper, another one of the great dudes that I met,
Yeah.
who
Rowdy
said
Roddy
that
Piper. Yeah.
oh, my granddaughter's kissing me goodnight. I love you. Good night, Mimi's. Um, but yeah, Rowdy Piper, I talked with him backstage before a show, and I'm getting my gear on, and he looks at me and he goes, the referee is the most important person in the match.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then he and I sat there and talked for a while, because I had a while before my first match was on, and he and I just talked about it, why the referee is so important and this and that, because the referee is really the director out there on the stage.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I was also show director, so I was backstage, sending all the people out and doing all the stuff and working the lights and the music and everything like that. I pretty much did everything back and front as far as wrestling
Okay.
goes. So I know everything
Nice.
about the production, everything about the front of it. Met a lot of wrestlers, met a lot of stars, and it was a great time. But it got to the point where it wasn't fun for me anymore because I had to
Yeah.
either take steroids to get bigger, which I refused to do, or take painkillers to feel better, which I refused to do. So, and Dave
Okay.
was a
You're freezing up.
stripper.
Yeah, let's hear that story. All right, so to bring it back to movies, so a movie like The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, what'd you think of
Amazing.
that?
Absolutely the most accurate depiction of pro wrestling that I've ever seen.
I was a big fan of that movie too. It
Yeah.
was really good. I
There,
I wondered how accurate it was.
yeah. So
But
there,
yeah, I really did enjoy that movie though.
yeah. So I have a story to back
And
that up. There's I don't know
okay.
if you're familiar. This back then, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, were
Oh
like
yeah, I
hugely
remember the Road
popular,
Warriors. Yeah.
right? So I worked with them like toward the end of their career. And I sat there and watched Hawk from the Road Warriors, a wrestler who I idolized as a teenager.
Mhm.
And I watched him inject cortisone directly into his knees just so he could get up and walk
Mm.
and go out and wrestle. And I said, I will never do that. I will
Mhm.
never get to that point. But that's what
Did
wrestlers,
you
sometimes that's what wrestlers, the only thing that they think they're good at.
Yeah, a lot of athletes are that way.
Yeah.
Did you see did you ever see North Dallas 40? Nick Nolte football movie?
Yes. Long time ago. But yes.
Yeah, yeah, in a lot in that movie he's taking all sorts of pills and injections and everything just to play every Sunday. And a lot of the movie is about that. And you hear,
Mhm.
of course, you hear stories over the years about all sorts of things that they're doing just to get ready to play. And it's pretty sad, but that's what they're doing out there.
Yep.
All right, we do have Caveman saying one of my favorite Fishburne roles isn't talked about much is King of New York. King of New York is fantastic, but love him in
Mhm.
Matrix and Wick films.
Of course.
Um, yeah, yeah. Did you see King of New York?
Yes.
Yeah,
Kings of New York is really good.
it is good. Did you get the 4K
No, I have it on
that came
Blu-ray.
out? I've got it on DVD. I need to get the 4K that came out.
I
I guess it
might
was about
I
6 months
might
ago or
just
so
have
it
the
came out.
DVD now that I think about it. I might just have the DVD, but
Yeah, I want to say it came out a few months ago, but I haven't gotten it yet. I need to grab that.
yeah.
'Cause it is a fantastic one of Wesley Snipes' early movies too, and of course, Christopher Walken. You got a Christopher Walken
Do I have a
impersonation?
crystal? No, no, no. It
Yeah,
my
this
impersonations
rocks.
suck. My daughter can
Yeah,
attest to that.
mine too.
Yeah, I try to
Mine
do a
too. It doesn't
Russian
stop me from
accent.
doing them all
Yeah, no, I still do it.
the
I do a Russian accent. My wife, my daughter says I sound like a Muppet. So yeah, I quit while I'm behind. But I my claim to fame is that I read the Potter books to my kids when they were younger, and I figured out how to do 14 different British accents. So
Oh, goodness
um,
gracious.
I lost all of that, but
No, those books are pretty thick. You read them all to
yep,
the kids? Wow.
I read all of them to the kids.
You
It was every
W
night
dad,
from
as the kids would say.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
See, my kids were never really into Harry Potter like that, so I didn't have to do that. And let's see. Oh, there we go. To me, wrestling is a soap opera for men, but they are athletes. I respect them as athletes. Absolutely. Sorry, Dave. Much respect.
It's okay, brother.
Mickey Rourke was in The Wrestler was great.
He was amazing. He would have won the
He
Oscar if
was.
it wasn't for his interview on Barbara Walters.
What happened? I've never seen that interview.
Yeah. Um, and he says something really foul in the interview. Um, and she's like, "So, what would it mean to you if you won the Oscar?" And um, Mickey Rourke goes, "Oh, well, yeah, okay, I won the Oscar, and that's great." But he goes, "I can't eat it, and I can't F it. So, what's the point?"
That sounds like Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
He's a
So, and I'm sure that lost him the Oscar. The
wow.
Academy was like, "Fine, I'm just going to give it to somebody else." But yeah, that
He's
sounds like Mickey Rourke. He's like,
yeah.
"So what?"
He's a character. For sure. He is definitely a character for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Dave's Hotel didn't have enough cowbells.
No.
my my first Mickey Rourke experience was actually it wasn't a lot of people's 9.5 weeks. Mine was actually another sex thriller he did called Wild Orchid. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I've seen that. That
It
sounds
was
familiar,
yeah,
but
it
I
played out
can't
like
picture it.
it was one of those Skinamax type of movies, except it
Okay.
somehow got a big screen release, and it's wild. It's been 20 something years since I've seen it, but it was wild. And then I saw 9.5 weeks after that, and at some point he started falling apart.
Hmm.
And then he showed
After
up in
the
wrestler one day.
after the motorcycle accident when he got all the plastic surgery and reconstructive surgery on his face,
Yeah, yeah,
then and then things started to fall apart for him, I think.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And
Um,
he's so talented as an actor too, which is it's weird. One of my favorite MCU performances is his in Iron Man 2. I thought he was great in that movie. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I thought he was fantastic.
no, I liked him in that.
Yeah, he was pretty good. All right. So guys, again, if you have any other questions, just throw them out here. If not, we'll just hang out just a couple of more minutes before we tuck it in for the evening because we're a couple of old guys.
Yeah.
Uh getting on
I mean, well, it's after 11 your time, I think. So
yes,
it's
it
still
is.
8. It's still quarter after 8 here, so I've still got time.
Yeah, you still got time. It is
I
it
don't
is
I don't turn into a pumpkin till about 10, and then
Yeah,
it's like,
it's a quarter after 12 here, almost a quarter after 12, 11, excuse me, quarter after
yeah,
11 here. See, now I
yeah,
know I'm getting old. I can't even tell the time
exactly.
anymore.
It's almost pumpkin time for you, I think.
It is almost pumpkin time for sure. Almost that time for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the rating system, the lowdown rating system. And like you said, I'm going to be on your show Thursday night.
Mhm.
How did you come up with this lowdown and with the lowdown system?
Well,
Or
the lowdown system came about when because I'm seeing a lot of critics just going either thumbs up, thumbs down, or 3 stars or 5 stars or whatever, but no real detail, because there are aspects of certain movies, especially by genre, that I want to see. Um, and you could tell me, "Oh, thumbs up, the movie's good," and then I watch the movie and I'm like, "That wasn't at all what I wanted." Uh, so, and then the other thing was, it's a lot of more personal viewpoints and less objective. And I said, I want to come up with a more objective way to review movies. And part of it was so that I could score movies based on as much of the masses as I can. So not just my opinion, and I could give my opinion, but I could score it based on what I think, how everyone else would feel about it. And to do that, I came up with 10 aspects of a movie that I'd like to see, that I'd like to have good quality, and then rate each one on a 1 to 10 scale. So, and to make it as easy as possible, that makes the score out of 100. And to break it down, I break it down on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to 1 to 10 scale. So I just move the decimal point over, and
right.
for example, Fences, I gave a 7.9 out of 10
Okay.
in scoring it. But so there are, cast, acting, plot, story, cinematography, direction, things like that I'm looking for in movies. And then other things that I'm looking for in the genre. If it's a drama, I'm looking for, interest in chemistry and things like that. If it's an action movie, I'm looking for pace and violence. So I have different ways of scoring it based on as a general movie for all audiences or as a genre specific, but for anybody who loves that genre.
Okay. So
Um, yeah,
did
and
you
that's
did
been
you
going
get it
on since
right the first time,
2012.
or has it evolved?
It's evolved. It's
Okay.
evolved. It started so complicated. I was like, there's no way that this is going to make any sense to anybody. But it started in I think 2008 was when I started doing it.
Okay.
And I was trying to encompass like everything I could think of. So there were 15 categories and all kinds of crap. And it was just a monster to deal with. I was like, okay, I need to cut this down. So I
Needed.
cut it down to 10, and that was in 2012, and I've been going on that, but just by genre. And just in the last year, changed it to, and this is in doing the show with Turner Fan 77, changed it into a more general scope. So not just by genre, but just as a general movie for all audiences, the 10 aspects that you would want to see.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. So before you had to do calculus, and now you can just add.
Yeah, now it's just kind of statistics. It's, but that was one thing that Turner Fan always jokes about is I love to do the math. So as and you'll find out on
Oh yeah.
Thursday because we're gonna score year 5 movies live,
Right.
and I'm gonna total them up right in front of you and give you your scores and ranks, and then show you what Turner Fans and my scores and ranks were for those movies, which was it's a lot of fun. I really like doing it. Again, it's a way that I can watch movies that I normally wouldn't watch. Something that has been on my list to watch, and like there's 3 that you pick that I've never seen.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't sure
So
how many there were.
yeah,
Okay.
so you sprung that last one on me last week,
I did. I
and
did.
I was like, oh, I haven't seen that one either. Okay, let's do it. I'd already scored the one that you gave me because I'd already seen that recently. So I'm still putting a movie clip in from it, so it's going to
Sure.
happen. But
Sure. No
um,
problem.
but I was like, okay, no, yeah, give me that other one. That's fine. But yeah, that's what I like is coming in with these movies that I've never seen that I, normally either wouldn't watch or have like pushed it off or
Hmm.
been
Hmm.
procrastinating about it. Um, and there's one for sure that I've been procrastinating to see, and you put it on there without me telling you, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Let me know Thursday what that one was.
I will.
All right. Caveman says Wild Orchids is entertaining for what it was. See, somebody did see it. It's a real movie. Kenny Levels would be in the doghouse for owning it. Very cool. I don't know if you saw his when Ken from Mid Level Media when he bought Showgirls. I don't know if you saw that video.
I don't
Um,
think I saw that video.
yeah, Michelle was not happy with with that.
Yeah. I know that, some of the times where he says how much he spent on
Yeah.
movies for the month, and she's like, what? I get
Yeah.
that same look from my wife. So yeah, I get it. I understand.
Oh yeah. All right. Sarah says it's 10 here in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Have you guys seen Cadence with Fishburne and Sheen? I highly recommend it.
I've
I
seen
don't
Cadence.
I haven't. I don't think I have anyway.
It's
What is Cadence?
I don't want to call it, it's not a war movie. I would call it a military movie.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, I'm gonna just kind of it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't even know if it's on DVD. It might
Wow.
have been just a VHS. I saw it on VHS. And it's 1990. And yeah, military thing, Charlie Sheen, Lawrence Fishburne. I don't even know if I recognize anybody else from the movie.
I haven't seen that one. That's for
But
sure.
yeah, it's basically Charlie Sheen plays a rebellious inmate in an army stockade, is what
Okay.
IMDb says.
Huh.
But yeah, military style. Lawrence Fishburne's kind of the drill sergeant guy.
Hence the name
Um,
Cadence. Okay.
yeah. And yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. I'm gonna have to see if I can find that somewhere. Like I said, I don't know of that one at all. All right, Bobby Blue is here. What's going on, Bob? She says
What's up, Bob?
happy birthday. And then he said, "Howdy, David."
Yeah, I've been trying to be on his tournaments, but he always does it on a Tuesday, and that's my date night. So
Yeah,
um,
do not do
don't
not skip out
don't
on
mess
date
with the
night.
date night. Nope, can't do it. But date night is kind of shifting a little bit. This week it's going to be Wednesday, so
Ah, okay.
so I actually have a show with Turner Fan 77 tomorrow night, but I will try to catch that tournament before that start. There's a tournament thing tomorrow.
Well, I'm
On
advanced,
Bob's.
Bob, and you in advance. I'm trying not to catch anything tomorrow. So,
Yes.
all right. And Sarah says, "Hey to Bob." Robert is here. Robert makes the cut.
What's up,
Says, "Hey
Rob?
everyone, what's going on, Rob? Appreciate you stopping by." And he wishes me a happy birthday. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. And Sarah does the same. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. And we got some more folks that have popped in. Super Mario 1886. I don't think I'm familiar with you, Super Mario. So thank you for coming by. I really appreciate that. And happy birthday is the wish that I got there. We've got some haze for Bob. And for you, Robert says hey to you. And Rourke was great in Angel Heart Diner, and of course, Pope of Greenwich Village. I only saw Angel Heart of that group. Did you see the others?
I've seen all three. I'm not a fan of the Pope of Greenwich Village, but his role in it is really good. I did like Diner and Angel Heart. I got the Lionsgate 4K of Angel Heart. It is beautiful.
I do. I have that also. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It is gorgeous.
yeah. De Niro is great in that movie.
No, it's De Niro. He's great
That's De
in just
Niro.
about everything. Yeah,
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 you can't really mess him. Can't really. He's like Easy Mac. You can't really mess him up unless you just cook him too long.
yeah. And he's like you were saying about Viola Davis. I've seen De Niro in bad movies, but I don't think
Yeah,
I've seen De Niro be bad in a movie.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's a movie he did with Pacino called Righteous Kill, and I did not like it. But their performances speak for themselves. They play really well off of each other.
Yeah,
It
I
just
haven't seen it. I think
yeah,
I think I have it.
yeah,
Yeah, I recently found it. I can't. I think I was at Dollar Tree. I might have found it, or
yeah,
either the Dollar Tree or Big Lots, one or the other.
yeah. It's a yeah. I didn't care for the movie. I thought the script was really bad. I mean, how can you take these two actors and write the script in crayon? I don't understand. But um, but yeah, but I mean, of course they can act their way out of a paper bag. So it's just
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, and
Year of the
Year of the
Dragon's good.
Dragon.
I
Yeah,
liked Year of the Dragon.
that one's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Um, it's Barbenheimer week. What you watching first? Are you watching either, Dave?
I am only watching Oppenheimer. I won't touch Barbie with a 10-foot pole. It's not happening. Um, I am going to try to watch Sound of Freedom though,
Okay,
which is also out
I've
with
heard
Jim
that's a
Caviezel.
tough one.
It is going to be a tough watch, but I'm going to try to see that Wednesday, and then Oppenheimer this weekend or early next week. But yeah, no, Barbie is not happening.
If I get out to a theater by myself, I'll see Oppenheimer. 'Cause nobody else in my house cares one bit about that movie. But my girls, my daughters still live with. They're both adults, but they still live here, and they're like, "Oh, come we gotta go see Barbie. We gotta go see Barbie. Let's go see Barbie." So I might wind up going to see Barbie this weekend. We'll see how that
We'll see
goes.
what happens. But yeah, my daughter and my granddaughter still live with me. My two sons have moved out, but yeah, she's okay with not seeing Barbie. So I think I'm in the clear, and I think my wife doesn't want to see it. So, but my wife will go see Oppenheimer with me. She's interested.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's gonna have to be a solo flight for me. Um,
I understand that's the way horror movies are for me because nobody will go with me.
yeah. All right. Caveman says Cadence is on YouTube. Oh, okay, I'll find it. And
Okay,
he
I can
sent me the link. Okay, cool. I will check it out. I hope it's
say
a decent looking YouTube video. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of shot in the dark with those sometime.
yeah.
And John says my daughter is 9,
Oh
so I
yeah,
think I know which one I'm seeing.
I
So
know.
that
Yeah,
means Oppenheimer all the way, right?
Oppenheimer all the way.
They 9-year-olds
Daddy, I
love.
want to know where the A bomb came from.
Yeah, they love
Okay.
World War
All
II.
right. As long as you ask me that, we won't go see Barbie.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um,
And Sarah said it's grandpa's birthday tomorrow. Next day, my mom's birthday. Tell them both happy birthday from both
birthday.
of us.
Yeah,
All right.
I think she told me that the last 4K Lowdown show, the last live
Okay.
one, which was a couple weeks ago, she told me that her grandpop's birthday was coming up.
Okay. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah. 83?
Uh-oh. We're putting the memory to the test. Putting memory.
There's my
Look
bro.
who's here. Look who's
What's up,
here.
Rich?
Rich. What's up, my friend? Now, Rich, you were on another stream tonight. Is that right? Or am I just pulling something out of my behind that I shouldn't be? But he's definitely here. So if anybody in the chat doesn't know, Rich does most of the shows with Dave, especially the by the numbers and the Sesame Street one, which is
Yeah.
basically your favorite movie starting with a certain letter. So they
Yeah.
have a really, really great rapport. Check the two of them out together.
Yeah.
And it really is just like two brothers just kind of sitting there going back and forth
Yeah.
over some movies.
Yeah. He was on Geeks and Flicks, I think. And he was
Yeah, he
doing
just posted that. Yeah, he said I was on Geek.
they do their show every other Monday.
Yeah, and they're another great channel. So guys, yeah, if you haven't subbed to Dave, go ahead and sub to Dave. If you haven't subbed to Rich Turner Fan 77, sub to him.
Yeah.
And anybody in the chat, just about almost all of you in the chat that I've seen, I believe, have YouTube channels. Sub to each other. Lots of great content creators out there.
Share the love, everybody. But yeah, I need 4 more to make 200.
Let's do it. Go ahead. If there are 4 of you here not sub to Derek, let's go ahead and get them over to 200. Get them to 200. Yeah, definitely well deserved. So let's make that happen. So you're at 196 then, if my math is correct.
196.
All right, so I'm scrolling up and down so I can see the names here. So if he's not at 200 by tomorrow,
I just
I'm coming
refreshed.
for you.
I got 2 more. I'm at 198, so I need 2 more.
2 more. So just 2 more. Just 2 more. All right. And my birthday is next year. So Sarah, I'm assuming your birthday is past this year. You're born a little earlier in the year than I. And Rich says, looking forward to my high five. I'm looking forward to it too. Me and Dave just been here just shooting the shit for about last half hour to 45 minutes, having a good time. We talked about a couple of movies and we had a good time with that. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. So now I'm going to turn the stage over to you, Mr. Dave, and you just tell everybody all about the 4K Lowdown and whatever else you want us to know.
Well, hi guys. Yeah, Del, thanks so much for having me on. This has been an absolute pleasure. I love doing the movie swap with you. I'm looking forward to our high five with you on Thursday. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And but tomorrow on the Lowdown channel, and for you guys that that don't understand why I spelled it wrong, it's Lowedon, because my last name is Low, so it's a play off of my name. I know some people have gone, you're spelling it wrong, and I was like, no, I'm doing it on purpose. But it's the 4K Lowdown. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Facebook, all under the same name. And we have the By the Numbers, which is normally on Wednesdays, but it will be tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. We're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Joyride, Insidious: The Red Door, and Bird Box Barcelona. So it's going to be a great show. We're going to review those and talk about them. And then Thursday, we have Dell for his high five. He's picked 5 movies. We're going to review them, talk about them live on the show. I'm going to have him score them using the Lowdown format. We're going to rank them, and it's going to be a blast. So I'm looking forward to that. And then beginning next Wednesday, we're going to start back up with our normal By the Numbers episode. And By the Numbers basically takes 5 new releases, either to theater, streaming, or physical. And we talk about them, review them, let you know whether we liked them or not. Also, there's a brand name change coming up. When Turner Fan and I are together, we are calling ourselves the Faces for Radio podcast. So you'll see a little bit of that coming up tomorrow. And there's also the Spotify channel, and we've got an Instagram now. So it's Faces for Radio, faces dot for the word for dot radio on Instagram. And pretty soon we'll have a YouTube channel set up specifically for that. So hopefully you guys can check it out. I really appreciate the follows and talking with us during the show. It's been a blast. And Dell, I'm going to pass it back to you.
All right. So we do have a few more comments I did want to get to before we close out completely. Sarah, both of my grandparents had passed away. One of them passed a few days later after my 39th birthday.
Okay.
And Miss K, I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah.
I'm sorry to hear that,
And
Sarah.
yeah. Miss K-Man subscribed to 4K Lowdown tonight.
Thank you, Miss Caveman.
All right. So I'm guessing that's $1.99. I'm hoping. Trini says later. Sarah says her mom is 77.
Okay.
Great stream tonight, says John Doe. Thank you. Really appreciate it. My year, yes. Or early in the year, I'm thinking she's talking about her birthday. See you both Thursday and Dave tomorrow night. Happy birthday, Del. Thank you very much, Caveman. And Sarah just turned 40 this year, or next year. Sorry, just turned 40 next year and going.
Next year will
I'm
be
reading it
41.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just turned 40. Next year will be 41. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. I'm sorry. I can read sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
Just
It's 11:30. I get it. I understand.
Man, I'm
Things
telling
to
you.
start.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And finally, KB says, fun hanging out with you fellas. Thank you, KB, as always.
You were awesome.
All right. So for me, guys, on the channel, you've already heard where I'll be Thursday. I'm gonna hang out with Dave. I'm gonna hang out with Rich. We're gonna talk 5 movies that I picked out for them to watch. So it's not quite a movie swap because they've seen some of these movies, but we're just gonna kind of do a deep dive and see if how we rank them pretty much and how we score them, how we grade them. So hopefully you guys can all come and check that out. Next week, Movie Swap moves back to Tuesday, and I'm excited every week for every guest because I just get to talk to people who I haven't had a chance to really talk to too much. And this person I've been on a stream with, but I think I'm going to be her first solo stream without the person who looks exactly like her. I've got Kira coming on from the Double Feature podcast next week on Tuesday night, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'll let you know who's coming up in August. I'll let you know that next week. We have a few things lined up for that. And yeah, just keep supporting each other. Keep supporting Dave. Go ahead and get him to 200 subscribers, hopefully by tonight. If you like any of the content here, subscribe to me if you're watching this on a replay, because I think everybody in the chat is subscribed to me. So I appreciate all you guys that are already here. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time and each and every time and here on this channel and on your channels. Bye-bye, guys. I'll catch you later.